Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino back here one more time to preview a Survivor 44 tribe. Today we'll be talking about Ratu. We'll find out here today from the man who knows all things Survivor 44, among many other things. Give it up for Mike Bloom.
Not many other things, Rob. I'm pretty sure Survivor has pushed all sorts of other essential information out of my brain space.
Stop. You know so much. Okay.
Well, including the fact that all I could think was, okay, it's not Rotu, it's Ratu. But we'll see.
Ratu 4.
Maybe this will become the new love tribe, considering how much we may love these 6 people by the end of this podcast.
Maybe. Okay, this is the third of 3 tribe previews that we are doing here in the Survivor preseason. We got together about a week ago for the first of our tribe previews, which was Tika. And then the other night we got together for Soka. And now here we are talking Ratu. Okay. And by the end of this, we will know all 18 of the Survivor 44 cast members.
It's been only a week? How has that happened? We have been doing so much. In particular, I have been doing so much.
Mm-hmm.
So the light is at the end of the tunnel, but the tunnel's been beautiful. It's a nicely constructed tunnel.
Don't go into the light, Mike.
I mean, listen, the light is good in this case. Fire represents your life, and so does the light here. So I'm happy to hopefully illuminate everybody on these 6 contestants and round out any sort of, premeditation that needs to happen before drafts, before cast assessments, before anything like that. Very excited to get to yet another group of what is a really fun cast this season.
Yeah, and we're closing into the Survivor 44 premiere coming up on March 1st. So we will be all set with that. And Mike, anything else Survivor that we need to touch on before we jump into things today?
No, I mean, more merch stores seem to be coming out.
Oh my God. How much merch is there already?
I think we're at 2 at this point. 1/9 of the cast has merch stores so far, but you never know. We are still less than a month away, but that is still quite a number of hours for more stores to come out. We shall see. We have talked about this. This is probably the most uniformly socially active a cast has been in the social media of Survivor, perhaps ever. And so I'm really intrigued to see, the front that is taken or separate vocations when it comes to the efforts some of these players are making preseason when it comes to really hyping up what's to come on March 1st.
Mm-hmm. Yes, not merch first. And of course, that's
their policy, merch first.
Merch first. Yeah. Okay. Also, for any Survivor fans who can't wait for Survivor 44 and for whatever reason haven't yet jumped on board the Australian Survivor bandwagon, it's been a great season so far of heroes versus villains. You can check out Australian Survivor and of course Shannon Gus's amazing coverage of it here on Rob as a podcast. And if you are looking for ways to see all things Survivor Australia or Australian Survivor, we make that very easy to do when you become a patron of Rob as a podcast. Rob has a website.com/patron. Okay, Mike, I know also you have been releasing all of your written interviews over on parade.com. How close are you to releasing all of them?
I am finished.
Look at this guy.
It has been done. You talk about don't go into the light. I'm covered in light at this point, and it's not just because I'm abhorrently pale. They're all out. I put them out twice a day for 9 days straight. I've Groundhog Day in a different way, Rob. I know you've been setting up a streak. So here we are. They're all out in written form. We're going to get to now the audio versions of the very first written interviews I put out with the Ratu tribe, which will be Brandon, Jamie, Kane, Lauren, Maddie, and finally Matthew, not Matt.
Okay. All right. So, Mike, should we introduce our first person?
Absolutely. I guess we'll once again say, if you're just joining us, what we're doing here is
Stu
Rob
makes the pizza.
Exactly. Rob and I had the chance.
Not frozen.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the Australian Survivor podcast yet, but I cannot wait for your thoughts on that particular piece. That was one of those things where I was like watching it and thinking, boy, Rob's really going to have something to say about this in particular. So I'm excited to see what slice of the podcast was complaining about the frozen pizza.
Yeah. Okay. for people who are not familiar, there was a reward on Australian Survivor this season. They gave them pizza and it was frozen
Yeah. So
for
talk
no
about
reason. Yeah.
people, are complaining, oh, Survivor nowadays is too hard, it's too easy, only 26 days. Like, these poor Australian people have to now live out there for nearly twice as long as the modern day Survivor players. And sometimes they give them frozen pizza. They don't even have the luxury of heating it up for them inside their convectionary oven. That is truly SOB behavior, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. But we're not talking about any SOBs today. We're talking about the Ratu tribe, how this is going to work. Rob and I sent some questions in to be asked pre-season to these contestants days before they entered the game of Survivor. We got the chance to have these answers sent back to us. I have done a little bit of audio magic behind the scenes to make it seem like I am asking the questions to them. We're going to listen to the answers. We're going to have a word that we will say to stop when we
We
want.
need the word.
Yeah, we need the word. This time we jumped the gun on the word last time, so we need to figure out a word. But when we say that, we'll stop down. We'll talk through their answer. We'll bring stuff in from their bio, from their 1-minute video that's been released from CBS, any other extracurricular stuff that may have been brought in, and try to get the best assessment about this person that will then be proven immediately wrong once March 1st rolls around.
Okay. Mike, what's the word going to be today?
I'm trying to think. Is there another 43 related thing that we can bring in?
Not off the top of my head. So, do you have anything that is anything that you feel like saying today?
We could go off of Jeff Probst's favorite forced metaphor.
Key lime pie.
Key lime pie. I was thinking Jaws.
Mm-hmm. Either one.
Because these contestants are sneaking up on us like a shark.
Okay. All right. So what's the word? Jaws?
Let's go with Jaws. Nice and easy. One syllable. Flows
so it's
off
like Jaws. So you're saying it's like Jaws?
It's Jeff. I'm saying this podcast is like Jaws.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So, Mike, let's go ahead and we're going to need a bigger boat because we got 6 more people to talk about. Let's talk about our first contestant here alphabetically by first name, and that's Brandon.
Brandon Cotton. And I don't know if he played in the Cotton Bowl because this is a former football player, currently works as a security specialist. He is 30 years old and he is from Newtown, Pennsylvania.
Okay. When you say he's a security specialist, is he like a bouncer?
No, he actually works with Philip Shepard. He is the security specialist. So he just more so gives nicknames to his staff, has a feather on his head for whatever reason.
Yes. Okay. I feel like that could mean a lot of different things. So I'm interested in knowing a little bit more about his background.
He'll go into it a bit more in one of his answers that we can kind of derive some description of what his job is, but something that they do advertise, and he is very, outright about, at least to us, not to the players, is his experience in the NFL. So his football career is that he played for 4 years in Purdue as a fullback from the 2011 to 2014 season. And then, so here's the thing. I have been talking with your friend of mine, Akiva Winokur, as to whether or not...
Don't even.
Was that just a general don't talk to Akiva or about a specific subject?
No. Okay, but go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
Well, I think a question that should be presented here, as you know much more about football than I do, is knowing Brandon's background, which, his history with the Seattle Seahawks is that in May 2015, he was signed. August in 2015, he was waived. The next month, he was put on the IR. Then he was waived once again, and then he was re-signed to the practice squad. He technically has played on the Seahawks from 2015 to 2017, but did not actually, I believe, see any time during an NFL game. In your opinion, does this count as an NFL player?
You know what? Look, if Brandon says he's an NFL player, that's good enough for me. If a man who goes by @Keeve26 on Twitter wants to tell Brandon that he's not an NFL player, then Keeve26 can take that up with Brandon. As far as I'm concerned, that's good enough for me.
Well, it depends. How does Brandon size up compared to Kyle Chandler? I think is the main question as to whether or not Keeve26 will go nose to nose with him.
Okay. I'm not going to nitpick his resume.
Neither do I. But even after his time in the Seattle Seahawks, he spent some time with the Salt Lake Stallions, and then he, I believe, finished his football career playing for the Philadelphia Soul in the Arena Football League. So definitely has remained on the field as short as a few years ago.
Okay. All right. Let's hear what Brandon has to say.
To start off, tell us about yourself. Give us your name, age, and occupation.
So my name is Brandon Cottom. I'm 29, and I currently am an account manager for a family security firm. I'm also a speed coach at the Parisi Speed School, so I work with young children, coach them to get faster and stronger.
Oh, wow. Mike, Jaws, boy, that are you or Puya gonna attend the speed school?
I mean, I think I might have to invest now that I have a speed coach, though I don't know. Was Ezra Miller one of his clients?
Oh no.
Why are you here on Survivor?
I'm here on Survivor because it's really a once in a lifetime opportunity at adventure. I think for me, it's about trying to not only learn more about myself, but create a better future for myself and my family. I think that it's very rare that we have an opportunity to kind of detach ourselves from civilization, so you say. I mean, like taking away all distractions of social media and just everything. Like there's no chance you get to really detach from everything and really just kind of focus on yourself and kind of who you want to be. And I think the Survivor kind of pulls that out of everybody, whether they like it or not. So I mean, that's really the reason I'm here. I want to see kind of what I'm made of and see what I'm capable of, because I've never put myself in a position like this. And also just because, I mean, Fiji's beautiful, so it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, honestly.
Jaws. I do think that it's kind of like an underreported and underrated part of Survivor that I feel like the show could probably steer into a little bit more about, like, hey, this is also going to be like the only opportunity that most people are ever going to have to potentially go for 4 weeks without their devices or like being attached to the internet in any way. And so I think it's a good way to, like, as people are like on this like journey of like self-discovery, that I do think like completely unplugging is like an underrated part of the experience.
It's the ultimate retreat, right? It's that opportunity to say, yeah, I'm going on a 4-week walkabout in a manner of speaking, really to discover who I am. I mean, they have certainly marketed it from that perspective in terms of the journey and the lesson that people leave
Mhm.
with. That's talked about a lot, particularly in the reunion right after the fact. But I mean, certainly if people do want to go away for a month and find ways to dissociate themselves from the internet, I could certainly think of worst ways. I don't know if I'd particularly recommend like starving yourself to the brink of exhaustion and playing this super paranoid game, but
Starving yourself of screen time too.
yeah, exactly. That'll be, maybe that's something that like Jeff will use to pump up these contestants. You know,
Mhm.
maybe he'll start the game by taking everyone's phones and just smashing the screens to prove that there's no rules out here.
Oh my god. I mean, no need for that.
I think it'd be like a stunt, you know? It can all be
Mhm.
fake phones.
Yeah, fake phones. Okay.
What's your history with watching Survivor?
So I actually started watching Survivor when I was a young kid with my father. Started at season one, and through that time, it became like a bonding moment for us. And then when I actually moved out to go to college, I kind of detached from the show a little bit. Not for any particular reason, just because I was busy in other ventures. And then when I moved back to Pennsylvania and got close to my father again, that was one of our bonding moments again. We got right back into it and started watching like we never fell off really. So it was more so a bonding experience for me than anything really. That was our opportunity to come together, watch something, and enjoy it together.
Jaws. Shout out to Brandon's dad, the ultimate Survivor superfan.
Yeah, Mr. Cotton
The
here.
uber duper fan.
Maybe that was him. Maybe he was coaching Brandon along. He's the speed coach telling him,
Mhm.
okay, this is how you need to play Survivor.
Get him on Twitch.
Exactly. Maybe he's the one that's been hiding out in Pennsylvania just waiting for his day to show his Survivor expertise.
Mhm.
Give me one Survivor winner and one non-winner who you identify with the most.
I think one winner that I identify with is Jeremy. The reason I say that is because I think when he came into the game, he understood that he was going to be a physical threat, and he played his game as such. He had other people that he kept around, maybe not necessarily as alliances or allies, but as people that he uses as we call meat shields. And personally, I feel like that's kind of the situation that I'm going to be in. I think that people are going to look at me as a physical threat because of my size and stature. So I need to, always have that in the back of my head and find ways to combat that, whether that's, going out and letting them see who I really am and understand my personality. And then also, having a couple other big guys that I try to keep around. So, pressure is not necessarily on me. And I think, one non-winner that I really do identify with is Danny. Reason I say that, Danny played in the NFL. I also played in the NFL. I played for the Seattle Seahawks. And I love the way that he went throughout the show without anybody saying that side of him. And I think that's something I definitely want to carry into the show as well, because again, that's something that I feel like puts an unnecessary target on my back. Everybody feels like, you play in the NFL, you made these millions of dollars and sign these huge contracts, when in reality, that's only a small percentage of people who actually play in the league. So I don't want to put any unwanted or unnecessary tension on myself than need be.
What's your favorite moment in Survivor history?
Honestly, I love the change of pace of the game, honestly. Like, perfect example, in the season with Danny, they had won one of the challenges, and the next thing you know, I believe it was Eric had the opportunity to go off and kind of change the whole course of the game. And I think that on one hand, yeah, it's rough and it sucks being on the winning side of that, and I can see why people be upset about that. But on the other side, I think that just shows the beauty of Survivor, that this is not a predictable game. There's nothing about this game that you can anticipate. It really keeps you on your toes, and it really sees what you're made of and how you react to what's going on in front of you. So I think personally that was one of my favorite moments, just because it really was a complete switch up from anything that anybody's really experienced in the game.
Jaws. Brandon, blink twice if you need help. It's okay. We'll send someone in there for you.
Well, of course, Mike, we all know one of the greatest, most iconic moments in the history of the show happened to be when Erica broke the hourglass. Since when?
Yes, there we go. Bring it back for 2023.
That's not a thing, Brandon. Your dad is furious.
Can someone please, Kiki, can you get footage of Danny listening to this podcast and just see the reaction from him getting his name dropped to then seconds later
Brandon saying, I like this guy. I don't like this guy.
All right, I'll pause it right here, and hopefully nothing he'll say afterwards will ever allow me to hate him.
It's no good. Even the show stopped the hourglass. You don't have to say this.
And as we talked about with Soka, this is now 2 people on this cast who have said that this was their favorite moment in Survivor history.
Brandon, you're on the show.
Ironically enough, the guy who also liked it, named Danny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're on the show. You don't have to keep this up, this charade. You could tell us you don't like it. Okay. All right.
What's one life experience you feel has prepared you most for the game?
Let's see. One life experience that I think has prepared me for the game would be, just dealing with people on a daily basis, whether that's, at work. Since I do manage security guards, they're always trying to pull wool over my eyes, trying to tell me things that aren't necessarily true. So it becomes a matter of trying to weed out what's truth and what's not, and kind of taking the context clues into account. Because if not, just like the game of Survivor, people are going to try to pull wool over my eyes. They're going to try to tell me lies, and they're going to try to set me up in ways that I might not necessarily see coming unless I'm paying attention to everything, the whole big picture of it. So I think just, dealing with the people that I've dealt with and being exposed to so many different people of race and so many different cultures and religions, it kind of helps me also to relate with people a lot better. It's not like I'm just speaking from a place of want to, it's just a place of experience. So I feel like that helps me to connect with you people.
Jaws. Okay. Wow. The security guards are trying to pull tricks on Brandon and lie.
Yeah, I don't know about Brandon's chances of getting good reviews on Glassdoor after this. He went on to an interview for national television and said that they were all trying to trick him at every point in time.
Wow. Okay. Boy.
I kind of wish that Brandon also stopped his answer at, what's the one life experience preparing for the game? Just dealing with people on a daily basis. Nothing about my job, just the act of actually encountering the world. I think it's preparing me for this game.
Social experiment Survivor. Okay. All right, let's go back to Brandon.
What excites you the most about the new era of Survivor?
I think what excites me most is, like I said, just not knowing what's coming next. It's scary. The unknown is always scary, but I think it's exciting at the same time because, on one hand, it could affect you negatively. You could, be at the top of the world. The next thing you know, it's snatched from underneath you. But on the other hand, you could be at the bottom and looking, as though, your time is up and this is the end. And the next thing you know, all of a sudden you're at the top. Something drastic happens and game changes. It's one of those games where it's like, if you make it through the night, there's no telling what the next day is going to bring. It could completely switch the whole game up. And I think that's really exciting, honestly.
What do you think people will perceive you as?
I think that people will perceive me as somebody who is, yes, like a physical player and wants to do well in the challenges, but also somebody who's surprisingly intelligent and also very strategic in his moves. I'm somebody who I'm very aware of myself and I'm very aware of my surroundings. And I think that's one of the mistakes that you see a lot of survivors make is that they undermine other people's games or they put limits on other people. I'm going to be somebody who respects everybody, who's, I'm going to keep myself no matter, what's going on. I'm always going to be Brandon Cottom. That's who I am. That's one person I can be. So I think people will see that, I'm respectful, but at the same time, I play hard and I'm here to win.
What type of player are you looking for in an alliance?
So in an alliance, I'm looking for somebody who is predictable because it's hard to say, somebody I can trust because you really can't trust anybody in this game. But I think trying to align with a predictable player is better than trying to align with a wild card. Also, so I'm just trying to make the most flexible relationships with people. So whether that's, somebody who I align with or somebody who's similar to me or somebody who's completely opposite to me, I think the biggest thing for me is, like I said, finding somebody who's predictable, somebody who, if they say they're going to do this, I can pretty much count that they're probably going to do that or think or guess what their next move will be. I think it's the wild cards you have to watch out for, and they're the ones that are a little bit spooky, honestly.
Jaws. Okay. Let's just keep an eye out, Brandon, looking for a predictable player to work with.
Yes, and also I think we need to be on meat watch as well, concerning what you mentioned about wanting to utilize that meat shield strategy. We'll get into it overall. I think the bad news for Brandon is that he's the meat, I think. I don't know how many shields are out there, particularly on this tribe early on for him.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going.
How eager will you be to look for advantages in the game?
So honestly, initially, I'm not going to be very eager at all. I think that's one of those, kisses of death that a lot of people, they make and they don't even realize sometimes that they're making it. I mean, when I think of it from like a numbers game, you have depending on how many people in the tribe, especially starting off, you have a 1 in 6 chance of finding, which is not that great. So I don't feel like the risk necessarily outweighs the reward early in the game. Now, the later in the game that I make it, it's definitely that's going to pick up and I'm going to start looking for them a lot more advantageously. But initially, I think it's going to be more so about building, my social relationships with people and then also trying to just figure out who I'm out there with, trying to figure out, what makes them tick, what are their motivations? Because it's much easier to, play on somebody's emotions when you understand what motivates them as opposed to what you think.
Jaws. Okay. So I think we're getting a little bit of a picture, colored in about Brandon. He mentioned Danny as a player. I think we're looking at somebody who's going to be kind of like a tighter, more conservative player, the kind of guy who wants to win challenges, not do anything flashy, not look for idols. So I think that overall, I think that he's probably somebody who's going to be more of a play it safe kind of guy.
And he probably should be, considering how he's going to be perceived, right? Like, I don't see a chance unless Brandon melts down like a man of his similar name in Survivor history. I don't see a chance that this guy gets booted pre-merge just because he is the physical asset of his tribe. I think people will be leaning on him. And I understand from that perspective his idea of like, let me get to know people and their motivations before I go out hunting for things. I will say, though, the math ain't mathin' for him a little bit of like, well, if I start looking, it'll be just a 1 out of 6 chance of finding things. But maybe later on, when it's like a 1 out of 10 chance or a 1 out of 8 chance, that's when I should really start looking for advantages.
Yeah. It's also, I think, hard to pivot from, a very safe, conservative game to ultimately, and maybe Danny might be having the best blueprint of how to do that, and then ultimately just be so likable and rely on the social game to ultimately just be somebody who is considered a viable threat at the end.
Yeah,
that's not going to get picked off.
Well, Danny himself, though, had to go hunting for an advantage because that path eventually ran short. And when he needed it the most, he walked right by it. So it's tough. I think if Brandon does decide to pivot, it has to be at enough of a point where he doesn't feel like he's so desperate he has to rely on it, right? Because as he's talking about, like, the second you do, the second it may be too late.
Okay, let's go back to Brandon.
What's the one thing you told yourself you wouldn't do in this game?
I don't think there's anything I told myself I wouldn't do. Well, no, that's not true. One thing I told myself I wouldn't do was lose myself in this game. At the end of the day, I have to look myself in the mirror, and I have to, I have a family back home, and I'm trying to represent myself well and them well. So I did tell myself that I'm not going to make my family look dumb, and I'm not going to make myself look dumb. Now, what exactly does that mean? It's kind of hard to say without knowing exactly what the game is, but I know how I want to carry myself and how I want to be perceived by others. So I don't want to make my family look stupid or make myself look stupid.
What's the best advice you received before coming out to play?
I think the best advice that I received was from my dad. It was just, pray every day and trust your instinct and be yourself. I think that's important. I try to keep God close in my life, and especially when things are really out of my hands, I try to put it in His hands. So just really, staying true to who I am and true to what I feel, and not second guessing myself. I feel like that's another area where people kind of mess themselves up, is when they second guess their initial instinct. A lot of times your instincts are more than likely right. So just not second guessing myself and not giving myself any reason to look back and say, oh, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that.
Can you come up with your own weird phrase that could be said at a challenge to unlock an idol?
Let's think. Monkey see, monkey do, but it'll never get the best of you.
What celebrity or fictional character would you want to come out for a loved one's visit?
If I could choose any celebrity, it would be Dave Chappelle. Honestly, I feel like he's somebody who is lighthearted and obviously is funny, but at the same time, he has a lot of wisdom. I just feel like that's kind of the picker-upper that I would need out there. If I could choose any celebrity, it would definitely be Dave Chappelle.
Well, let's definitely talk about his wacky phrase.
Yes, no comment on that last answer.
Yeah. Okay. What was it? Monkey see, monkey do?
But it'll never get the best of you.
It'll never get the best of you. Okay.
Unlike Boston Rob, it will not get the best of you.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, maybe they would evacuate him if they had Boston Rob. Yeah, if Boston Rob was passed that on the floor saying monkey see, monkey do, they might medevac him.
Okay. All right. Well, Mike, Brandon, I think seems like a pretty likable guy. I understand now why you like him so much, why you've been just raving about him. Every time I see you, you're always like, let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. I'm like, okay, I get it, Mike. We get it. You like this guy.
Yeah, and I'm wearing my orange hat. It's not red, it's orange while I'm saying it. Don't worry about it. I think that Brandon's going to do solidly here. I think you bring up Danny. He does as well. I think that is a very good blueprint right here of, like,
from a blue tribe.
Has an athletic background. I think has personability. Danny obviously did not have the experience of apparently working with the most treacherous security team ever.
Yeah.
But Brandon knows how to kind of like wrangle a bunch of different personalities where he could theoretically be one of the leaders of this tribe to get into a spot where, like, he gets in fairly well with people. When it turns to the post-merge, it's when it's going to be a little tougher for him, because then people will be looking at him both from a social and a physical perspective and say, okay, we have to get rid of him. And if he then has to rely on the things that he has avoided for the first half of the game, that might just be too hard of a pivot for him to take.
Right. And worst case scenario, if it doesn't go great here, could go pretty awesome on the next season of the Challenge USA.
Well, depending on what happens in the final, I think. If people are, on the floor with the Sudoku puzzle saying it'll never get the best of me, monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah. All right. Mike, anything else about Brandon?
Yes, so something he really likes to fancy himself as is a Renaissance man. He talked about this in his bio as well as in his CBS video, that he has many talents. Rob, he plays the piano. He does magic tricks. He's a pilot.
A pilot?
Yeah. They have footage of him flying planes. So I think if he doesn't win the game...
He's a speed coach. Maybe he has a need for speed.
Exactly. Like, he hired Maverick. That's his call sign. Maybe if, Survivor wants to cut their budget even more. If Brandon doesn't win, they'll say like, hey, we'll keep you on Fiji if you want to be the one to fly our helicopters around.
Okay. All right. There's Brandon, contestant number 1 here on the Ratu tribe. Mike,
Yeah.
let's meet our second contestant here that we are going to see as part of the Ratu tribe. And here comes Jamie Lynn.
Yes, probably the number 1 Jamie Lynn in the pop culture sphere at this moment in terms of popularity. Jamie Lynn Ruiz. Jamie is 35 from Mesa, Arizona.
Yeah, shots fired at Jamie Lynn Sigler.
I suppose so. Maybe she's a nice number 2. It's good to have that silver medal on the podium. But Jamie says
Just
right
parallel park that reference right in there.
She says that she is a yogi, but Jamie actually just pivoted her own job from working 10 years in marketing, has decided to go a bit more no collar than white collar.
Okay. Anything else you want to set up for Jamie Lynn the yogi?
No, I think she'll like get into a bit. I think she is going by Jamie in this one. I did wonder as well, is this like a married Kate situation? Are we doing first name, last name? Is she going by JL? But the way she introduced herself is Jamie. So I think for the time being, that's how we'll refer to her when using her first name.
And let's go with Jamie.
To start off, tell us about yourself. Give us your name, age, and occupation.
My name is Jamie Reese. I am 34 years old. I'm from Mesa, Arizona, and I am a marketing consultant. I'm also a yogi, a gardener, an artist. I do a little bit of everything.
Why are you here on Survivor?
I am here to win the $1 million, A, and B, to have an adventure of a lifetime, and C, to build lifelong relationships with all of my friends that I'm so excited. They're all going to be my best friends. I don't know it yet, but
What's Jaws? Okay. Let's just write that down at 42 seconds into the
I am here to make friends.
Jamie. Okay.
Well, that's actually very much a Mariah attitude, right? Didn't Mariah say that in the opening minutes of Survivor 43? It's like, everyone says they're not here to make friends. I am here to make friends. Cut to her being voted off on day 3.
Okay. So we'll see. Look.
And also, true to her multifaceted nature, her favorite hobbies, according to her bio, gardening, yoga, cooking, golfing, hiking, reading, painting, swimming, writing, eating, laughing, meditating, catching up on my shows.
Okay. It's a lot of gerunds.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity, I guess, to do that on the island without your screens around.
Okay. Let's go back to Jamie.
What's your history with watching Survivor?
I am a day 1 Survivor fan. We watched episode 1, season 1, and we never missed it. We used to, so this is back in the day before DVR, before Paramount Plus, we had to record it on VHS if we had like a school recital. So we still have VHS tapes that say Survivor, do not record over. And so I'm a day 1 fan. And then during the pandemic, my brother and I, we watched every single season again together. And we were separately quarantined. So we would FaceTime and then start Paramount Plus and watch just to kind of refresh our memories. And, you know, every time you watch it, it hits different. So.
Relatable.
Yeah. Absolutely. I do like the Survivor, do not record over.
Yeah.
That sounds like something like Jeff would put out as a disclaimer, like what the NFL does, right? Of like, this is copyright to us. Please do not tape our games.
Yeah. That's how all my podcast files are. Please do not record over. This is a very important podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Please don't put something over this that's wacky and, embraces all the very serious material we cover on my reality TV podcast.
Okay.
One Survivor winner and one non-winner who you identify with the most.
You know, a winner I identify the most. I know it's kind of soon to say this, but I identify so much with Marianne. I loved the way that she played the game. She built relationships very quickly, very easily. And I love the way that she played the game. I think that everyone kind of underestimated her, but she was brilliantly moving her chess pieces exactly how she needed to. She made the big moves when she needed to. And and so yeah, it's kind of the most recent winner, but I definitely identify with Marianne, and I just love her how joyful she was. Watching her interact with everybody is kind of, I see myself in her in that way, and I hope that I can interact and have that same charisma that she brought to the game. And then the non-winner that I identify with is, oh, you know what? Shan. Shan was the best. I loved watching her do her her little plans, and I identify with her because she is super strategic, and she was very bold, brilliant in all of her moves. So she immediately, she would go face to face, ask the questions that she needed to find out, and she was always gathering information. So I loved the way that she played the game. I think that if she comes back, she can totally win it. I mean, she's a great player to watch. I loved that. So she's the non-winner that I would identify with.
What's your favorite moment in Survivor history?
My favorite moment, the history of Survivor, it's anything with Sandra. I love Sandra. The queen stays queen with all my heart. So all of her little one-liners, as long as it ain't me, that's literally what I'm bringing with me to the island. Is I'm harnessing that Sandra energy, because as long as it ain't me, I'm happy to vote for whoever. And I love every moment with Sandra in all of the seasons. She's my favorite. I love Sandra.
Jaws. Okay. That so but will she play like Cassandra?
I mean,
Doesn't sound like it.
Well, she is evoking Marianne and Shan, both of whom I think did have some individualistic gameplay. I would say maybe Marianne is closer to a Sandra, in that I think in both of Sandra's winning games, she was never perceived as like the person out front. Something good about that, as long as it ain't me thing, is like you're almost always putting someone in front of you that would always be the target. It's interesting that I feel like Shan has been invoked a lot in the 44 interviews, much more than the 43 interviews from what I recall. And you never know how much, like, obviously 42 was regarded incredibly well. And I did wonder in like these newer seasons, how much are they thinking about 41? For what it's worth, like we get Shannon Ricard's names dropped a lot when talking about alliances. Shan was mentioned here. Danny was just mentioned. Erica has been mentioned a couple times. So 41 is still, I think, looming fairly large in this new era.
Okay, let's go back to Jamie.
What's one life experience you feel has prepared you most for the game?
I would say my time in corporate America has prepared me for this game, to win this game, because it is all about relationship building. And I had 10 years in corporate America where I was building relationships to get to the next promotion. And that is how I'm going to enter the game of Survivor, building relationships right off the bat. People, they care about how you make them feel, and they remember that. And so I want to make sure that I keep that at top of mind. It's a game, but that is the key to, getting the votes at Final Tribal Council, making sure that everyone, that I have a personal emotional connection with every single player, and it'll look different with everyone.
Jaws. Okay. Mike, she wants to play relying on her experience from corporate America, but a wise woman once said that, this ain't corporate America. We're out here in the bush.
Now, that being said, the person she was referring to did win the season over her. So who was ultimately proven right? So Jamie talked about this in her video. She says Survivor helped her succeed in corporate America. Now corporate America will help her succeed in Survivor. And I do see where she's coming from in this idea of like, corporate America is about relationship building and networking, especially over the course of 10 years. I would say these types of ideas would work better were she not also playing alongside a lot of people that were also in corporate America, right? This is something that's been commented about the cast, is that there are perhaps like less of the blue collary types in this particular season. And so Jamie could be able to utilize these strategies more, I think, on people that are not management consultants and product managers.
Well, Mike, there's no better time in the history of the show than to get the fan base to rally around the faces of corporate America.
Exactly. Do you think people will
The
respond
heroes
to her?
that we've been waiting for.
Exactly. Is she representing a brand in that way? She's sort of marketing herself that way.
Yes. So we'll see. Let's
We'll
see how it
find out
goes.
if corporations are truly people.
Yes. Okay. And if Haley Ford can do a rap about a corporation. Okay. All right. Here we go. Here's Jamie.
What excites you the most about the new era of Survivor?
Ooh, you never know what you're going to get. I love this new era of Survivor because you have to stay on your toes the entire time. You have to have your plan A, B, C, and D because you never know how the cards are going to fall. You can't really anticipate anything like we have been able to in the past. And that's what makes it so fun is you have to be creative and on your toes at all times.
What do you think people will perceive you as?
Oh, I think people will perceive me as bubbly, outgoing, energetic. And I'm hoping that works in my favor because as bubbly and energetic as I am, I will be strategizing and playing chess in my mind with all of the moving parts throughout the game. So it'll be kind of like a show, I have to put it on, I have to like distract them with my bubbly energy so that they don't know what I'm really strategizing.
What type of player are you looking for in an alliance?
Ooh, so I have this all planned out. I want an alliance member. I want a ride or die that is kind of opposite of me to reel in the opposite type of cast member or castaways on his side. So the way that I see it is somebody that's opposite of me, but very strategic, super smart, competitive. And then, so we have the ride or die, the two, and then the next two, I have to have somebody that is a beast at challenges, and then somebody that is sneaky intel information, bringing all the information. So I have all four corners built in an alliance that will that we can take to the end.
Okay, Jaws. All right, let's talk that through. Okay. So Jamie has a 4-person alliance that she is already dreaming of. Okay,
The four corners, yes.
The 4 corners. Okay. What are the roles in the 4 corners?
Yeah, screw Brandon. Jamie is the true specialist right now, giving everyone nicknames and roles. So first off, there's her, probably the most essential part of her own alliance.
Good.
Then there's the ride or die. This is someone that she said is who she sees as the opposite. Quote, very strategic, super smart, competitive. Also should be noted, Jamie did use the pronoun his when referring to the ride or die. So I would imagine that opposite also involves gender.
Yeah. Okay. But I think she might be open to somebody who's a woman in that role.
Third one is the challenge beast.
Okay. All right. Maybe this could be Brandon.
This could be Brandon, but if we're trying to do the bit of the logic puzzle here, does Jamie match up to what Brandon wants in an alliance?
Potentially.
Maybe. I don't know if she is exactly screaming.
Is she predictable?
Yeah, I mean, she is predictable. She has this plan right now that she's going to stick to. So
yes. Okay, and then tell me, what is the 4th person, and how are they different than the ride or die?
So that first person, the ride or die, is just very strategic and super smart. This other person is kind of a weasel. Is a rat, is always bringing in the intel. They know the hot goss on the streets.
Okay. All right. The sneaky person. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see if we can fill the rest of the seats on the bus for Jamie. All right. Let's hear a little bit more from Jamie.
How eager will you be to look for advantages in the game?
Oh, I'm really eager. I am playing hardball. This is it. This is Survivor. I came to play. I'm looking for idols. I'm looking for advantages. And if it's a beware advantage, I'm going for it because it's all or nothing. We are swinging for the fences.
What's the one thing you told yourself you wouldn't do in this game?
Oh, I told myself that I'm not going to take anything personally. I am not going to it's not personal. This is gameplay. We are coming to play this game that we all love, and I'm not going to take anything personally, whether it's, a rumor that started about me or I'm voted out by one of my best friends. Nothing is personal. This is all game, and that is the promise I made to myself.
What's the best advice you received before coming out to play?
I think it's to never give up. Those were kind of the last words that, when I spoke to my family, and that's kind of what I move through life with, is that mantra, never give up, because it's never the end until it's the end, and anything is possible. Anything's possible. Never give up, and anything's possible.
Can you come up with your own weird phrase that could be said at a challenge to unlock an idol?
The pot of gold is at the end of the rainbow.
Jaws, is that weird of a phrase?
I mean, probably in the Survivor context, right? Unless you're devoutly Irish. Or a leprechaun.
Yeah, but I mean, the phrases were nonsensical. I mean, that kind of is a phrase.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's one step away, and you could probably, bring it in fairly easily, right? Jeff, we're starving out here, but the pot of gold is at the end of the rainbow, and we're one step closer to that pot of gold.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that odd of a statement. Okay. All right. Just wanted to add my 2 cents in there.
What
Two
celebrity
full
or
pieces.
fictional character would you want to come out for a loved one's visit?
Let me think. Oh my gosh, this is a great question. A celebrity I would love to have come out for a loved one's visit is Johnny Depp. He's used to the island life, and I think it would be so fun. I mean, he's got to catch me up on, everything that's going on in his life, and I think that would be so fun to hang out with him on the island.
I love Johnny Depp. I didn't check out anything he was doing in 2022, so he's gonna have to definitely catch me up if anything happened then.
Boy, this loved ones visit when Dave Chappelle and Johnny Depp come out is gonna be, Twitter is gonna be buzzing.
Yeah, maybe Brandon and Jamie do have more in common than we think when it comes to being in the alliance.
Okay. Interestingly, also, they asked her, what's something we would never know from looking at you? People would never know I love scary movies and grew up watching Freddy, Jason, and Chucky. Could that be the ride or die, the challenge beast, and sneaky? Who would be who?
Okay, so Jason's definitely challenge beast because he moves fairly fast. I think Freddy is the sneaky guy because he's always in your dreams.
Yeah.
He's getting intel that way. And I guess that leaves Chucky as the ride or die.
I mean, he's got the die part on lock.
And they say, you're my friend to the end.
Yeah. And he is him. So
yeah, there we go. So I think Jamie has found. Now, how is that going to translate to the island is the good question. In general, Jamie, I'll admit, I'm a little nervous about because I think her plan on paper is really awesome. If she is able to hit the ground running and make this 4-person alliance, 4 into 6 is good, as Brad Culpepper once taught us. And that'd be fantastic. We see how important it is early on to just lock down an alliance so that way you are rock solid moving forward. But we saw this happen with Lindsay last season, where locking down an alliance is one thing. It's another thing to cement that. And considering that Jamie is kind of bringing in 3 different factions to work together, what needs to work for this alliance to happen is that all 4 need to want to work together. And I just wonder if Jamie is bringing together possibly to people from too many different worlds, if that's the case, that they will want to work with each other over the other 2 people.
Yeah, back when Angie Kantz used to, put together the Survivor archetypes and try to group people into categories, I feel like that Jamie is in a box that historically hasn't had a ton of success, sort of the young corporate professional woman. Now, I guess you could say that maybe Erica might have been a person who was in that category, but I think that her win is unusual in a couple of different ways. So I'm not sure if there's a lot of history of a person like Jamie doing well on the show.
Well, yeah, you talk about Erica. I think something that certainly helped is that her tribe never went to tribal council. I do think if we're talking overall about Ratu, I've said, okay, Tika seems pretty well balanced. Soka, I would imagine this is the tribe that dominates. Like, one tribe by comparison has to be the one to go to tribal council most in the pre-merge. My money right now is on Ratu, and so I think, unfortunately, this would give Jamie the ample opportunities that Erica didn't to go to tribal council and make herself vulnerable.
Yeah. If her plan works, she's set up great. But if for whatever reason, the 4 people she's trying to pull in together into an alliance, like, don't necessarily click, there could be a lot of talk about, like, what Jamie is up to.
Now, that being said, she is very sociable. So if she is able to get past those first couple votes and get together whatever coalition that she wants to of various skills, then that's perfect. She's set up really well to move forward. I'm also intrigued because not just her, Rob, but I feel like so many people this season said that they're going to be perceived as bubbly, as young, as giddy, and no one will see what they're doing behind the scenes. Jamie said it. Helen said it. Sarah said it. Claire has said it. I wonder, like, are all these variables canceling each other out, or will it just be a cast full of bubbles?
Too many bubbles.
Yeah, because then at that point, then you kind of have to question the bubbles, right? You're like, wait, they didn't just cast all bubbles on this season. Like, at least a couple of them can be popped.
Got to be flat. Yeah.
You weren't just cast to be a bubble.
Yeah. All right. There you go. There is Jamie. Mike, let's talk about the 3rd member of this tribe, and I believe the only Canadian member of this cast. Okay, let's talk about, I believe, Saskatchewan's Kane.
Yes, everyone please stand, remove your hats. Oh, Canada. Yes, Kane Fritzler from Saskatchewan. Yes, I have heard it loud and clear. Apologies to our Canadian listeners. I got the province wrong. And thank you,
what
to
did you
Marianne.
say?
I said Alberta. It is indeed from originally from Moose Jaw, but I believe he resides right now in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Yes.
And he is a recent law
home
grad.
of the Scott St. Pierre.
And he's at 25 years young.
Yes. Okay. Kane Fritzler. First Kane.
Yeah, I love that name. And we'll see if Kane is able to make it work.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to tell us about Kane?
I think Kane will describe. I mean, he's in a very interesting transitory period. Like, he said that he apparently, I mean, this was filmed in like May, June. He apparently just graduated law school. And so just imagine tossing your cap in the air and then having a buff land on your head as you go to play Survivor.
All right, here we go. Here is Kane.
Why are you here on Survivor?
I am here on Survivor because I have watched and followed this game for my entire life. I am a student of this game. I am here as an academic, and I am here to try and play this game as hard and as best as I possibly can. So that is the reason that I am here, because I am a gamer through and through, and this is the absolute best game you can get your hands on the planet.
What's your history with watching Survivor?
I started watching Survivor basically when I started watching TV as a kid. My grandma and my brother would always watch it with me, so my grandma kind of got me into it. And then even after she passed away, me and my brother continued to watch it together. Even after he moved away, it was something that we would stay connected to. And even in times when we weren't talking as much, every Wednesday, it would still be, oh, like, did you see that last move? Or can you believe this person? Or what happened there? So it was still a way I got to stay connected. And it was something that's followed me through my whole life. Now that I'm kind of set up, I'm sort of indoctrinating other people, and I have my girl watching it, and I have all my friends watching it. And I'm kind of the guru that people look to on the couch to explain whether it was a bad move or not. So this game has been just something that I've followed with my entire life.
Jaws.
The guru?
Yeah, among his friend group, he might be considered a know-it-all, if you will.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, where does Guru fall on the super duper uber fan meter?
Well, Mike, have you seen The Love Guru?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, so I think not that good, not highly regarded.
No, more if he regarded himself more as the Austin Powers of Survivor. I think not the Shane Powers. I think that would portend well better for him.
Right. Okay. Yes. As long as you're not the part of the Pentaveret, I think.
No, we're not. No. Keep your clothes on, Kane. Please.
Did we touch on that? He's from Moose Jaw, Canada.
Yeah, I love that. In my opinion, no more of a Canadian name, both as a city or just in general. None better exists than Moose Jaw. That
Moose
is the most
Jaw.
Canadian
That takes
name
the
I've ever
cake.
experienced.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Back to Kane.
Give me one Survivor winner and one non-winner who you identify with the most.
Winner, I would probably identify with Tyson the most. I'm probably a little bit more hopeful about the world than him, but I like that he come out here and just have fun and be himself. But he's also thinking, he knows the game, whether he promotes it or not. He knows the game probably better than or just as good as any other person. And that's what I want to bring. I want to bring to this game a true, gamer experience, but one that's also going to have the most fun. So that's the winner that I identify with most. The non-winner that I identify most with is probably Zeke. I love that guy. I think I got a lot of the same chutzpah that he has. And I think that he played a game that wasn't afraid to take risks, wasn't afraid to start early, even if it meant he was going to die out. So, yeah, I think both those guys just have a lot of charisma and they're not ever afraid to be themselves. And that's one thing that I am never afraid to be is Kane Pritzler.
Jaws. Why does he feel like that Tyson is so down about the state of the world?
Maybe it's just the tone of his voice, like how dry he is.
Yeah.
He thinks all hopes for humanity have dried up as well.
Yeah. I mean, if he thinks Tyson is down on the state of humanity, you should hear Danny Bryson.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's more so that Tyson in his first season liked to talk down about other people, but it's counterbalanced with him talking up himself at the same time. If anything, it's Nooch at most.
Okay. All right. Let's hear more from Kane.
What's your favorite moment in Survivor history?
My favorite move of all time is still Malcolm's double idol play in 26, where he protected the entire majority and made them turn on themselves like wild animals. Like, that is just an absolute baller move. If we could have done it absolutely perfectly, I would have split the vote on them so they had to decide instead of just sending Philip home. But I still think that was just like such a what up move. Pretty hard to top the showmanship involved in that one.
Jaws. Okay. Thankfully, somebody here on this podcast is giving Malcolm some respect and not just pointing at him and laughing.
Yeah, listen, again, you got to nooch it out.
That's
so
a real
you.
what up move.
Thank you to Kane mentioning the Three Amigos Tribal Council, but in true guru fashion, being like, that was great. I do have some notes, though.
Yeah. Okay. Back to Kane.
What's one life experience you feel has prepared you most for the game?
I think that going to law school, especially going to law school young, like I did, I'm as young as you can enter into law school in Canada. And I think that has put me in a pretty constant state of being underestimated. And I think that the longer the people underestimate me, the more they regret it, because I'm here to play. I'm here to fight. That was my attitude in law school. I did very well. And that's my attitude for this game. And I'm also here to do, hopefully, quite well.
Jaws, did he attend Moose Law?
Moose, your education, your law, your freedom has been deprived of you for generations at this point. I'm here to make Moose Law a thing and get you the rights that you've been so duly appointed.
Okay. Is Kane like the Doogie Howser of Canadian lawyers?
Yeah, that could be the case. He's just typing on his laptop, like,
or is that Doogie Hoser?
I adore it. That's incredible. That's so stupid. I love it. I love it so much.
Okay, no, in all seriousness, congratulations to Kane.
Yeah.
That is a great achievement here to be such a young lawyer.
Now, the question is he going to come clean with that to his tribe? Because we know how much lawyers have a stigma behind them.
Do you know, is he planning on changing up his occupation?
Nothing that he has told anybody in the preseason. So I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure what his cover story would be.
Yeah. I think he could throw anything out there. He could come out with pet cremator. I think people would buy it.
Oh, imagine if he did it and be like, that's an occupation too ridiculous to be on Survivor. Who on earth would be a legitimate pet cremator?
Okay. Here's more Kane.
What excites you the most about the new era of Survivor?
What excites me about starting my Survivor journey is the kind of like lore and meta that sits behind it. You know, like this isn't just a single season thing.
Like, who's
I'm
Lauren?
entering a little bit of cane
Talking about her next.
flavor into the entire swirling game that is Survivor. So that's what excites me, the prospect of being able to really put my mark on this game and actually change how people play it moving forward and hopefully be recognized as a super dope player.
Jaws.
What do you?
And that cane for Sir flavor is poutine.
Yes. Okay. Well, I would love nothing more if we at the end of the season were regarding Kane as a super dope player who made some what up moves.
I love his vernacular, especially for, again, a young lawyer. I just imagine him kind of like slipping into court on sweatpants.
Objection, Your Honor. That was not super dope.
All right, I just got you. What up move? You just got caught lying on the stand. That's perjury, bro.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. The guru has spoken.
My moose has gone innocent.
Mm-hmm. All right.
What do you think people will perceive you as?
You know, I think that I come across as somebody who kind of has my act together. But I also come across as someone who's very friendly and very funny. So I think that first and foremost, people are just going to see my charisma and they're just going to like watching me and smile when they see me walk around like a big animal. And I think, you know,
Just are they smiling like a big animal or he walks around like a big animal?
I think it's the latter. He does say in his CBS interview that he moves around like a Sasquatch, which I have several questions about. One, do we know what Sasquatch moves around like? I thought the entire thing about Sasquatch is that nobody has seen him. Ergo, we do not know how he moves.
Such a good question. Okay. All right. Back to Kane. Sorry for interrupting.
I'm excited for both these folks and the audience to learn about me. You know, I want them to slowly realize, like, okay, I got that glimpse in my eye. This kid actually knows what he's doing. So I think initially people are just going to have fun watching me. And then by the end, I think they're going to have fun watching me play.
Jaws. Okay, now I just can't get the image out of my head of when Kane talks about how people are going to smile when they see me walking around like a big animal, like him doing his own version of Jonathan doing the monkey impression of him just being like, and for my next trick, this is a grizzly bear. That's how he entertains people at the Ratu camp.
Also, I think he kind of said the same thing twice. He said that I think that he said at first people are going to be excited watching him, and then they're going to be excited watching him play. So I don't know.
I think it's like he wants to go from character to character player in a manner of speaking. He wants to make the full pivot, like when comic actors go dramatic.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He wants to be the Steve Carell of Survivor 44.
Okay. We're here for it. Okay.
What type of player are you looking for in an alliance?
There's a lot of different good alliance types out there. Just depends what you want. You want people who are hard loyalists. You want people who are thinkers. You want people who are going to be shields for you. You know, there's a lot of different things to think about. But really, in a ride or die and a partner in crime, I want someone who's thinking about this game like I am. Because you don't get to have as much fun if you play by yourself. All the super fun stuff that you can do in Survivor, you need to play with other people. So what I'm really looking for as my numero uno is somebody who thinks about this game like I do so that we can pull off some super fun stuff together.
Jaws. Okay. Could he be a ride or die?
I mean, I think
Jamie?
he certainly has a cool vibe, and I guess they are thinking about the game the same way. Listen,
Looking for ride or die.
Yeah, no offense to Kane. I don't know if he's the challenge beast. And considering that he said he has the stature of Sasquatch, I don't think he's sneaking around doing anything anytime soon, even though Sasquatch himself is fairly elusive.
Yeah. Haven't found him yet. Okay.
How eager will you be to look for advantages in the game?
Not eager. I will not be eager at all. I'm gonna not look for advantages for a bit. Like I know the day one principle is like you can't look for advantages or idols on the first day. I'm gonna take that seriously. But you know, I got a good eye. I got a good nature eye. I can see things sticking out. I spend a lot of time in nature, so I'll keep my eye out. But you're not gonna see me, you know, idol sleuthing very early. Mid, like when I feel a merge coming in my bones, I'll start putzing around a little harder.
Jaws. I don't think since Tiffany Seeley have we seen so much like Yiddish used in a Survivor interview.
Putzing around. Yeah.
And he said that Zeke had chutzpah.
Yeah. Okay. We love it. We love it. Okay. All right.
What's the one thing you told yourself you wouldn't do in this game?
One thing that I told myself I wouldn't do in this game is lose, my temper. I think that not that I have a gross temper, but I think that it's easy once you're starved and once you're not sleeping and once everyone's trying to con you for you to kind of blow up. And I think that the more you can keep a cool, calm, collected head on your shoulders, the better you're doing, the better you're going to be able to see the game. So if I start getting really laser focused on, I need to get this person out because they freaking, I don't know, stole my scoop of rice, how dare they? That's when you start getting sloppy, and I don't want to get sloppy steaks. So,
Boy, if somebody freaking steals your scoop of rice, that's it. All bets are off.
I mean, I think it's understandable if you blow up on someone after they steal your scoop of rice. Also, it did sound like at the end he said he doesn't want to make sloppy steaks, which fans of I Think You Should Leave would be very unhappy about. But I understand what Kane is saying. He just has such an odd way of phrasing things. I'm kind of obsessed with him, like him saying he has a gross temper.
Yeah. I'm so happy Kane is here.
Yeah, I think Kane is such a unique character. Like, I wouldn't take him. But no offense to him, I wouldn't look at him and say recent law grad, which maybe speaks to, again, the fact that he could lie about his career. And I think the way he speaks, he'd be able to pass himself as maybe not being a young upstart lawyer either.
Yeah, I think that he totally can get away with not being a lawyer.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that would be a lot of fun to then have that power while being the Clark Kent, wearing these glasses like he does and being able to obscure that identity.
Okay, let's keep going.
What's the best advice you received before coming out to play?
Be myself. I got my girlfriend Kat to watch me like a hawk for 2 months. And I was like, if I have any dead giveaways, like if I twitch my eyes when I lie, or if I roll my eyes at people without thinking about it, I want to be like, hey, oh, like that's a tell. And when the record came back, she was like, you're squeaky clean. Like, just go out there, have fun, and be yourself. And I really think that if I am myself, I'm going to do really well in this game. So I'm going to try and not change who I am.
Joss, what does he mean when the record came back? Was she administering a polygraph test?
Yeah, the lie detector test determined that you do not have any tells. Congratulations, you can play Survivor. Now, also, all I have is the image of a moose dating a cat. Thanks to this picture we've drawn of this man.
Yeah, I'm going to lie to you a lot over the next couple of months and see how many times, see if I have any tells.
I mean, this must be true love, right? Get you a partner who, if you tell them, hey, record all my every moments for 2 months and tell me if I'm lying or not, and them actually sticking to that plan, that is a true commitment to a relationship.
Okay. All right. Last couple of questions with Kane.
Can you come up with your own weird phrase that could be said at a challenge to unlock an idol?
I think that I'd want to do something that would be funny at camp. I'm going to put, if I had to come up with the phrase, I would say the clams are running the show. And then to see where they go with that. I feel like you could whip that into tribe life pretty easily if you wanted to, but it sounds funny.
What celebrity or fictional character would you want to come out for a loved one's visit?
I don't know a lot of celebrities, but I know a lot of fictional characters. So, man, if I could have a fictional character come out as the loved ones, you'd see Luke Skywalker getting off the X-Wing because, that guy has it figured out. And if I could have a little Jedi experience, he'd keep me nice and calm. He's a very accepting man. I'm sure he's a good hugger as well, Mark Hamill. So, I think that if I could have a Luke Skywalker coming, running down that lane to come see me, that'd be a dream come true.
Boy, this is sort of like a Mandalorian season 2 finale. That
I hope not. Is that really Mark Hamill, or is this just CGI Mark Hamill?
Yes, yeah, come with me, Kane.
Famously accepting Luke Skywalker, the one that did try to kill his own nephew just because he thought there was an ounce of evil in him, killing him in his sleep. Listen, considering the previous 2 answers, could have been a lot worse. Could have been someone from the dark side.
Yeah. Did Cain kill his brother in the Bible?
Yes. He had the mark of it, right? So, yes, I do believe so. And Luke did learn from someone who also walked with a cane.
Okay. How about the clams are running the show? Not really that off the wall.
Well, that was the complaint people had last season, right? The clams weren't running the show.
Yeah. So ultimately, There's Kane. I love him.
I really adore Kane. I think, as Kane points out, he's going to be a character from the get-go. He just has this kind of Fozzie Bear energy about him. I'm not really sure how to explain it. He says that he'd love to see Luke Skywalker because he kind of resembles a Wookiee to me just by looking at him. And I love Wookiees outside of their Life Day celebrations.
Mhm.
What I'm intrigued about is, like, I think Kane's either going to do really well or really badly. I could
Mhm.
see a world where he shows up
High
there.
variance.
Exactly. And just shows up and is incredibly offbeat and like Jacob Derwin, like totally segments himself out from everybody. And they're like, okay, we gotta get rid of this guy. He's doing too much all at
Mhm.
once. Or he's able to get in with a good group, maybe find someone like Jamie, able to get out a couple of votes, and then he'll be able to get enough of a head and a place in the game that he will start putting these really fun strategies into motion.
Yeah.
Incorporate that with the fact that people are underestimating him just because of his youth and again this sort of like goofier energy he presents, and he could be someone that could become like a larger presence in this game, especially as it gets into the end game.
Sure. I think Jacob Derwin is a good comp for the worst case scenario. Can you give me a comp of what the best case scenario looks like from a former player?
Ooh, I would say kind of like, I don't know why I'm thinking Omer. Maybe it's because of the Canadian glasses wearing, uber super duper nerd of it all. But I do feel like Omer is someone who presented himself as like kind of goofy, a little meek on the exterior, while in the interior was like being this hyper strategist at all times. And I do feel like Kane is somebody that kind of fall into that wheelhouse. I'm trying to think of like another type of super fan that was really presented as goofy and did well. I feel like that's a tough Venn diagram to fill.
Okay. Well, let's see how Kane does. Anything else you want to say about Kane before we talk about Lauren?
Yeah, so Kane is going to say, if I win this game, it's because people didn't realize who I was until it was too late. And I think that's incredibly appropriate to what we said, right? That like he hopes this perception is going to lead people on the entire time so that he'll be able to turn it around. And, he's one of these people that says he didn't come out here for the money necessarily. He says, I have lots of ways to make $1 million. He's here for the experience.
What a
He's
flex.
here. Yeah, he's here for the title. Hopefully that will get him an actual win, unlike some people who also go out there and claim that they're not doing it for the money.
Okay. All right. Mike, let's go ahead and talk about the fourth member of this tribe. And here we have Lauren.
You hear that harp in the distance? You should, because we're talking Lauren Harp. Lauren is a 31-year-old elementary school teacher from Mont Belvieu, Texas.
Okay. Lauren Harp from Texas. Okay. Anything you want to highlight about Lauren before we hear from her herself?
Lauren is one of these cast members that we have seen a lot in the new era of her going through a lot in her life and sort of incorporating Survivor into that journey, that this is not the end point, but just another step in this kind of MC Escher-esque staircase that she has been going through as of late. And so it'll be interesting to see how that gets incorporated into her game and perhaps could be affected by it.
Okay. All right. Here is Lauren.
Why are you here on Survivor?
I'm here on Survivor to really have a challenge for myself. I do everything for my boys. I'm a single parent. And so my day-to-day life is really just, going to work and taking care of my boys and running back and forth to soccer practice and different things like that. And I recently got a divorce. And so I've been just on a self-growth journey just to like grow and see what I'm capable of. So this is really for me and really for me to see like what all that I can do.
What's your history with watching Survivor?
I started watching when I was really young with my father, but then life, kind of took its course. So I would say more so I am like a new era super fan. And I've been watching these most recent seasons, just binge watching like previous seasons as well. But more of a new era super fan, which I think is going to be really an asset for me in this game.
Jaws.
Okay.
So like
Yes.
Jamie, I think this is one of these things that maybe in another cast would be an asset. But you have to imagine that, especially in this day and age of Survivor, the entire cast is watching some of the more recent seasons, right?
Yeah. Is there any advantage in being a new era super fan as opposed to somebody who has been a all-time super fan?
Not an all-time super fan. I would say it's certainly an advantage over those that are like, yeah, I kind of tuned out after season 40, but I know the way the game usually goes. That's when there's then the advantage, right? Because it's 26 days. Okay, we're going to have Mergatory. We're going to have the split into 2 groups at Final 10. All that. But I think to your point, everyone else so far, and spoiler alert, forthcoming, has that kind of all-season fandom representation. And so I don't think Lauren has a leg up in particular here.
Yeah.
Jamie might not know what Johnny Depp was doing in 2022, but she certainly knew from a Survivor perspective.
Yeah. And I don't want to gatekeep the Survivor fandom and, being on Survivor. You don't need to know Survivor trivia. But I think that there is a lot to have learned from many seasons of Survivor, not just the 2 she would have been able to see from the new era.
And I would also say that, it's good to watch these 2, but I would say that a lot of the other casts have not only watched these 2, but previous seasons as well. And to be fair to Lauren, she is going to mention in some of her favorite moments stuff from before these 2 seasons. But I do find it interesting that she brands herself as this. And I do think this makes her at least mentally prepared for everything that's being thrown at her, considering that this is her favorite type of Survivor, it seems.
Okay, here's Lauren.
Give me one Survivor winner and one non-winner who you identify with the most.
Okay, so one Survivor winner that I identify with the most would be can I give you 2? So the first one would be Poverty, just for her charm. She was so charming, and I hope to just embody some of that in the game. And then also a Natalie. Just her strength and everything that she brought into the game just as a strong woman really resonates with me. And one non-winner would be a Shan. I just love how aggressive that she was in the game and how she went in full force and was just authentically herself and just played as who she was. And I really just like that about her.
What's your favorite moment in Survivor history?
One of my most favorite moments from the history of Survivor was more so in some of these recent seasons. I mean, this was not a pivotal moment at all, but I think it would really involve Angelina when they were at Tribal Council and she was asking for the jacket. I think she was just very very aggressive and really went for what she wanted. And I really thought it was just super funny, just an entertaining moment.
Jaws. So I think we're getting a sense as to how Lauren's going to play this game. And we haven't even gotten to the way she's going to explain the perceptions, alliances, etc. Lauren is going to be hyper aggressive. She's a fan of this newer era, right? Which does encourage, okay, go out, start looking for these idols. It's a dangerous game. You got to keep moving fast or the monster's going to catch up with you. She talked about how she loves Parvati, Natalie, and Shan for all just being themselves, being super strong out there. And even one of her favorite moments, which is comedic, she still says she loves Angelina's aggressiveness. So I very much, Lauren, perhaps out of everyone in this tribe, hitting the beach and just immediately starting to put things into gear.
That's going to be interesting because I feel like that we don't have a lot of other players who are looking at the game that way. So it's nice to have somebody in that role, especially when you mentioned about how a lot of people are sort of trying to play the nice, bubbly social game. There could be a lane there for somebody.
Yeah.
Not a lane from Survivor 39.
Which was mentioned beforehand. But yeah, this could work for and against her, though, because, again, when you're the first boot, as Rudy infamously said in the Survivor All-Stars commentary that you were on, right? When you're looking for a first boot, just need an excuse. And if the excuse is hey, you're doing way too much, then Lauren could easily become a target. Or this could work out really well for her. We saw this last season, how Carla was able to put so many things into place so early on that she became the most protected member of perhaps anyone in that pre-merge. So it could be something that if she's able to put the right pieces together, could keep her firmly protected for the entire, half of the game.
What's one life experience you feel has prepared you most for the game?
One life experience that has prepared me the most is going through a divorce and then becoming a single mother. Through that, I had to learn how to take care of just myself and my boys by myself. It was physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially taxing on my body. And I think like I've been through a lot mentally, and that's going to prepare me for all of the challenges that's going to come my way in this game.
What excites you the most about the new era of Survivor?
I love how it is just so fast paced and it's so risky. You know, like these things that are happening in this game or in this new era of the game are things that we've never seen before. And I've studied this new era, and people who haven't, or people who are just gung ho on the older seasons, won't be as up to date as me. So I just love how fast paced it is, how risky it is, and how it's just full of unknown.
Okay, Jaws, do you think that there are people that are overstudying the older seasons that Lauren could have an advantage if by just studying the new seasons?
I'm trying to think. I mean, Brandon mentions Danny, so we know it's not him. Jamie mentioned Marianne, so we know it's not her. I could see maybe Kane. Kane just graduated law school. That's a big time commitment. Maybe he hasn't boned up as much on these later seasons. That could be a possibility.
I don't think anybody's like cramming the old seasons at the expense of the new seasons.
No, I think Lauren herself said, right, that she watches the new seasons and she is cramming the old seasons. So she might be the actual person that's proving this rule.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think people will perceive you as?
Okay, I think that my tribe mates at first glance may just see me as just a cute, sweet girl just coming out here to live the island life.
Living.
But I think that they won't realize that I am 30 years old and I have, you know, some life experience under my belt. I think the audience will perceive me just as, or I hope that they perceive me as a strong woman and a strong individual, and someone who went out and just like took risks in every aspect of the game.
What?
There's that risk factor again, Mike.
And also, it's not bubbly, but her saying that she'll be perceived as a cute, sweet girl.
Yeah, if she goes to Shipwheel Island, you better believe she's risking her vote too.
Oh, yeah. All these people are risking. And we're going to have so many no votes by the time the pre-merge ends.
What type of player are you looking for in an alliance?
I am really looking for someone who is going to be trustworthy and honest. I value that very much. And I want somebody who I'm going to be able to share some things with, but first and foremost, that's going to be able to share those things with me. And I don't think I'm going to trust them until, you know, they show me with their actions, like show me through your votes, show me through sharing some information with me that I may not have known before. So someone who's honest and someone who's going to be open and willing to give information.
Jaws. Okay. Mike, can you fit her in to the four corners?
I don't think so, because she doesn't strike me as the ride or die with Jamie. And she doesn't seem like the sneaky person. I mean, listen.
Or the challenge beast.
And she does have this like Southern genteelness to her, which I love. I adore her accent. And look, like, to optically or auditorially speaking, like, that can go a long way. The Southern charm can certainly do so. We've seen people win due to that over the course of 40 plus Survivor seasons. So I do think she has the social charm to her, but I don't know if this necessarily leads to her getting all the information and squirreling it away. If anything, she's basically saying, I want someone that will only share information with me and I won't share information with somebody else. I think her ride or die is coming up. We'll talk about them in a little bit here.
Okay.
How eager will you be to look for advantages in the game?
That's why I'm here. You know, like I'm here to play Survivor. So I'm going to be going out. I'm going to be looking for idols. I'm going to be looking for those advantages at every aspect or every chance that I get. You know, like if you're coming out here just to fiddle paddle or just like twiddle your fingers, then you already lost. So I think that I am very eager to find something that's going to push me forward in this game.
What's the one thing you told yourself you wouldn't do in this game?
One thing that I told myself that I would not do is I don't care how hungry I get out here. I'm not eating a rat. I'm not eating anything like that. I mean, I grew up in a very small town and in the country with my family, and we ate things like possums and sometimes, not all the time, but like possums, raccoons, and things like that. But I'm not eating a rat or anything of that sort, no matter how hungry I get.
Jaws. Okay.
Jaws. You could tell she was studying up on old seasons, considering she made a Borneo reference.
All right. Good news, bad news for Lauren. The good news is there's probably a 0% chance that she will be asked to eat a rat on Survivor 44. The bad news, Lauren, here's your buff. It's Ratu.
Yes, exactly. I will not eat the Ratu. Maybe that will show actually how loyal she'll be to the tribe, right? Like preseason, I said I wouldn't eat a rat, and I'm not eating Ratu. I'm staying orange strong until the end.
Yep. Okay. So, you don't have to eat the rats, but you get a rat tribe name.
Also,
Okay.
what a specific thing to promise yourself before you go out there. Like, the one thing I will not do is eat a rat.
Well, I feel like if she's eaten vermin before, was it that bad?
Or that good that she's
I kind of feel like
tempted to do
if
it?
I was a guy who was like who has eaten possum before, I'd be like, sure, I'll eat rat. I've eaten, but it's like, I guess no. I said we're never going backwards.
Yeah, I suppose so. Like, we ended at possum. We're not going any smaller, okay? It's too gamey.
Jervis said it tasted like chicken.
Yeah, he said it was on like hot buttered popcorn.
He said we need to get some more rat.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Lauren did not believe Jervis's reviews.
Okay.
She might be a Dallas fan instead of the Philly fan. Maybe that was it. Just doesn't
Perhaps.
believe any of the other NFC East rival opinions.
What's the best advice you received before coming out to play?
The best advice I got was just to be authentic and just be who I am and come play this game as me. I think a lot of times people come out here and they're too worried about like how they will be perceived or what others will think of them. And I think if I come out here and I just genuinely be myself, I think that I'm going to go very, very far in this game. And then I will also be proud of the way I played.
Can you come up with your own weird phrase that could be said at a challenge to unlock an idol?
Yeah, so I like to say kick ass sea bass. And that is just something that that me and some of my friends say back home. So kick ass sea bass, that would be the phrase that I would say.
Like banana laffy taffy, stony baloney, get a bagel, kick ass sea bass.
A la Luke Skywalker, I just felt a disturbance in the forest from Florida, as if somebody just awoke after 5 years of lying dormant, ready to become a Survivor player again.
Kick ass sea bass. Wow. Okay.
Well, she must have been really disappointed with the Ghost Island finale.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a wild one. Okay. Best one of the day. All right. Finally, Lauren, who's your celebrity you want to visit?
What celebrity or fictional character would you want to come out for a loved one's visit?
Could we say
What
for a loved
celebrity
one's
or
visit,
fictional
maybe
character?
like a fairy godmother or something, or like a genie in a bottle to just come out here and give me what I want, like to push me forward in the game or to make something magical happen. That's as best as I can get.
That would be one hell of a twist. If there was a genie in a bottle, a magic lamp, and give you wishes.
Well, especially if you smash the bottle. I think that would not be
Yes.
good for the genie.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, that'd be exciting. But bad news is it's Jeannie Machini from Survivor 41.
She's just here to fish and catch you coconuts
Yes.
and get tricked by fake advantages.
Yeah, to tell you about 3 wishes from Trader Joe's.
Exactly. All right, I've got some good news. We're all stocked up on those cookies you like. They're in aisle 7.
Yeah. Okay. And here's Brad.
There's Brad. He's in the sand. He's catching you some fresh rat to eat.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. All right. You love the new era. Here's Jeannie. All right. All right. Mike, anything else about Lauren?
No, I feel like Lauren, I'm feeling good about Lauren. I do think Lauren just has, I mean, look at that smile. Like, it seems like she has such a brightness about her that I can imagine her immediately bringing people into her orbit, which would keep her safe early on. And I could see her get into this position a la Ashan, where she has this like social circle around her to protect her, that when the merge comes, she will be able to, I don't know, once she merges with the others, if, she'll still remain unnoticed there. But I do think in the first half of the game, perhaps unlike the last couple people that we talked about, I do feel fairly good about her chances.
I'm concerned about Lauren. And really my concern is twofold. She doesn't, I believe, have the greatest knowledge base about the game, which is fine. But I think that it is a dangerous game plan to not be super duper knowledgeable about the game, but then also have a aggressive game plan in the game. Like, I feel like, okay, I don't know the most about the show, but I know that there's a lot I don't know. I'm going to actually play a little conservative and get my feet underneath me to start. Like, I think it's a risky game plan to, all right, I've studied Survivor 41 and 42. I've got this figured out. I'm ready to go.
That's a valid point. It reminds me a lot, actually, of watching something like Australian Survivor, right? Where they bring in a lot of recruits every season. And some of these recruits like to just come in brazen AF. Doesn't matter how many seasons I've watched. I know how to play this game. I know how to play one way, and that's
and
full
we
tilt.
see it a lot on Big Brother also.
Yeah, very much so. So I know that Lauren's from Mont Bellevue, but we'll see how Frenchy she gets.
Okay. Mike, we are going to talk about the fifth member of this tribe, and let's talk about Maddie.
Yes, so we have a Matt, a Matthew, and a Maddie with two D's, not two T's, but still
Okay,
fairly
Maddie
confusing.
P.
Maddie P. Yes, Maddie Pamia. She is 28 years old. She is from Brooklyn. She is listed as a charity projects manager, but there should be an X in front of that. We will get
Ooh.
to that in her interview.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Here is a little bit from Maddie.
To start off, tell us about yourself. Give us your name, age, and occupation.
Hi, I'm Maddie. I'm 28. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm currently unemployed because I quit my job to come play Survivor. So big changes.
Why are you here on Survivor?
Oh, it's like a question I'm still trying to answer because, I think it's just because I'm like an adventure addict. Like all I do is seek out the next big thing. I like to push the limits and reach. But like as I'm here, I'm starting to question, like, is there more? Like, what is really driving this? Because it's number one on my bucket list. I'm like, what makes it number one? Like, why have I been obsessed with this show for 21 years? And a question I'm still seeking an answer to. But the short answer is I'm just like an adventure addict and super competitive. And this is like the world stage for me to be able to, put my best foot forward and give it all I got.
Jaws. I was half expecting, Rob, the answer to be, why are you here on Survivor, is I need money because I just quit my job to be on Survivor.
Yeah. Well, that's what Cody said last season, where he said that he already spent some of the money.
Yeah, that's true. And listen, if you're giving yourself financial pressure, I guess that could push you into a bit of a putting the NOS on in your proverbial game. I mean, when Maddie speaks to, though, I do think is something that is tough about playing Survivor. Obviously, it's not as time intensive as Big Brother, especially nowadays, but you still have to take a month plus off of work. And again, I'll speak about the fact that perhaps the new era of Survivor has been a bit more white collary. And I think it's because, Rob, you and me and Jessica Lee's cover Tough as Nails, when all these people, all these tradespeople are talking about like, yeah, I have to bring home this paycheck by going out to work all hours of the week, every week. Like, they can't go out and play 30 days on an island. They have to be guaranteed some sort of income here.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe the only people that can get time off of their job to go play Survivor in the modern era are people that have like cushy white collar jobs.
I mean, I guess better that than the influencer types that they have on modern day Big Brother, which are the only people that are able to take the time off. I'd rather have that by comparison.
Do you think some of these people are just like they are working from home and then they're just hoping that nobody notices they're away from their Microsoft Teams?
They just have like a frozen photo up a la, what was it, Speed? The trick that they use with the video camera of just like a gif of them nodding and just keep that on for 30 days straight.
Yeah, just to go tap on the keyboard every couple hours. Okay.
No, Maddie's super committed. She keeps wearing the same outfit every day too. Does she even sleep? She's the most workaholic person here.
Okay. All right. Here's more from Maddie.
Give me one Survivor winner and one non-winner who you identify with the most.
In terms of gameplay, the non-winner I probably identify the most with is Suri. Just her like sitting, waiting, watching, striking method. A lot of people compare me to Parvati. I kind of see it, I kind of don't. But one of my favorite seasons is definitely Micronesia. Like the Black Widow Brigade was genius, and that was like all her, or a great part of her. And I definitely like ring the same like girl power bell. So I'll say Suri and Parvati, who were both part of that epic season. So
what's your favorite moment in Survivor history?
I would say an underrated moment recently. This is recency bias because there's so many freaking amazing moments. When Lindsay went up against Jonathan in season 42, and that one challenge where they had to dive off of that platform, and she was like matching him stroke for stroke. Like people need to talk about that more because she is a fierce competitor. He was a D1 swimmer. Like he was a near professional swimmer, and she like was matching him that whole challenge. So that for me, again, the girl power stuff, like I love like these girls coming out and playing really, really hard. So in recent memory, I'd say that.
Jaws. Mike, could you remind me about that? I don't really remember.
I think maybe that was one of these like team reward challenges that they had in 42 where they had to dive off a platform. And so Lindsay and Jonathan were keeping fairly good stroke with each other. I mean, Maddie has made one thing abundantly clear. She is ringing that girl power bell. So I think we're going to pretty much, project what her first move on the island is going to be, right? She's going to grab Lauren, she's going to grab Jamie, and she's going to say, like, let's make this a girl power thing.
Okay. All right. Well, that certainly shakes things up on the Ratu tribe.
And I don't think that these two would necessarily say no, but I could also see a possibility of that getting back to the other three members of the tribe and possibly getting her in trouble.
Okay.
I was like screaming at the TV screen. I was like, is everyone seeing this?
What's one life experience you feel has prepared you most for the game?
There's a lot. I'd say like a lot of why I'm here is because I'm scrappy, and I think a lot of why I'll play well is because I'm scrappy. And I think that comes from the way I grew up. I grew up in a house of like all women. It was me and my 4 sisters. There are no guys. We had 1 bathroom. Our foyer was legitimately hot pink. So we're just like, you know, like a witch coven of like strong, crazy, wild, smart, opinionated, go-getter girls. And I feel like my sisters just always like pushed me to be better, faster, stronger, and just gave me like a lot of confidence to just take on whatever. And so I would say that just like growing up with my girls.
Jaws. Yeah, so Maddie grew up in a witch's coven. She was there with Sierra,
Don't
with
tell
Cass.
Steven.
Yeah, with Kelly Wentworth. Though she did say coven correctly, so I think Steven is happy about that.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else about her growing up in the hot pink foyer?
Yeah, which sounds like a euphemism for something. She is the middle child as well, which Marianne spoke about. I do think that does change the dynamic as well.
Oh, wait, hold on a second, Mike. Maddie with an M?
Yep, that's her.
Could she be the curse of the M?
Oh, that's a very good point. Well, she has to be safe from the first tribal council, and that way the curse is broken, right? That's Marianne's curse, is if you are safe from tribal council, and then you go next time, and then that's when the M name is vulnerable. So technically, if they actually go to the first tribal council and she survives, then the curse is broken.
Okay, all right. Boy, now I'm extra worried about Maddie.
Do you think they named her that because she was in the middle? She's Mitty, and so she's Maddie?
I don't think so. I don't think she does anything mid about her.
I mean,
Okay.
except for her position within the Pamia family.
What excites you the most about the new era of Survivor?
Okay, I was really bummed to find out that we weren't going to be playing a 39-day game just because I want as much time out there as possible. Like, I'm just so excited to sleep under the stars and be starving. Like, I want the full thing. But I will say I've really come around to, like, the 26-day game is fast and furious in a way that we haven't seen. And what I love is that, like,
it's all about the family.
Exactly. All about driving those fast cars, even though they don't give them away. Thanks, Yao Man.
You can't ever take a step back. Like, there is no time to rest. And I think for me in particular, it really plays to my strengths because I'm like short-sighted at times. And so like, I think that strategy implies like that there's like some long-term like plan and there's time. And in the 26-day game, like there's not that much time. So it really pushes people to focus less on strategy and more on their skills and instincts. And for me, like that's a dream because I'm less great at the long-term strategy and really, really good at the stuff that I love with Survey, which is like watching, waiting, striking. So I think it makes people like, it really boils people down to like their raw skills and intuition and instincts. And that's what I trust the most about my gameplay. So I'm really, really stoked.
Jaws. So interesting logic. I do see what she's talking about, that the 26-day game, the cycles are so quick, right? You're going to tribal council probably every 2 days, especially in the post-merge, that there really is no time to breathe or even, give a second thought to what you're doing. I will say, though, there's a little bit of a flaw going on where she says, I'm not great at long-term strategy, but I'm good like Sari at sitting, thinking, waiting, striking, which does sound to me like long-term strategy.
Yeah. So that's a fair point. Look, if Maddie feels good, I don't want to take that from her, but yeah, that is a little bit of a discrepancy in what she's saying.
And I give herself credit for, again, like knowing her own flaws, right? For saying, okay, I know I can be short-sighted. She will call herself outright impulsive later on in this interview, and I will use that to help myself in this game. But I'll be intrigued to see, like, I think there is some long-term strategy incorporated in here. Like, we have seen people make bonds that take them to the final four, sometimes even the final three in the early days of the game. So I hope that Maddie isn't too short-sighted, that she puts on those specs and is able to see a bit further into the game.
Okay, let's hear more from Maddie.
What do you think people will perceive you as?
Oh, it makes me nervous. I think that people will probably underestimate me. Initially, I thought that I was going to be seen really quickly as a threat because I'm very social, I'm outgoing, and I think after more than one conversation, you can tell that I have something between the ears. So I was worried about being a threat. I actually think that with this cast, which is really, really strong, like we got off the plane and I was like, okay, like these people are here to play. I think that I'll be underestimated, which is cool. I'm cool with playing from the bottom. What do I think the public will think of me? I don't know. I hope they think I'm fun and funny. I'm pretty wild. I think I'll play like a wild card. I don't know what I'm going to do next. So I hope that people enjoy watching me like just pull something out of my hat and go for it.
What type of player are you looking for in an alliance?
I'm open-minded. I can roll with anything. I'm down to like pretend to be someone's pet and then like chop their head off. I'm down to play with something really fun and funny. Like I would love to play with a Rupert. I don't know if there's a Rupert here, but I'm also down to play with someone else who could be underestimated. There's someone here who's really young who I'm like kind of like, maybe I can like poach on them. So I'm really open-minded. I'll play with anyone. Whatever you give me, I'll work with it.
Okay. All right. Let's talk this through. Is Rupert on this cast, Mike?
Well, we are going to be talking about the next guy who does have a big beard. That's the closest I think we're getting to Rupert in general in this modern day era. Maybe Gabler was the closest thing we got to Rupert in the new era.
Okay. All right. Who's the young person?
I would imagine that was Carson, right? Because he is such a baby face that's got to be the person she's identifying to quote unquote poach on.
Okay. All right. Let's hear more from Maddie.
How eager will you be to look for advantages in the game?
Oh, I'm gonna find something. I'm like, my eyes are darting all the time, and I have like 20/20 vision, and I'm like, I have like this deep feeling that I'm gonna find something. I'll say if I find a beware advantage and not just like a traditional immunity idol, I'm gonna play it differently than anyone has played it yet. So yeah, I'm motivated. I'm ready to get something in my hand.
Jaws.
Jaws.
Okay. What does she mean
Yeah.
by that?
Yeah, well, it sounds like a threat almost. I'm going to play this the way that nobody else has. I mean, we haven't seen many beware advantages, but I'm trying to think about like what are the various ways we've seen it played. We saw someone do it by themselves. We saw some, and we've seen people tell other people about it. That's kind of it, right?
Mhm.
That's really the binary choice.
Yeah. I guess you could make somebody else pick it up and make them lose their vote.
I guess that's what she's meaning, right? Of like, I'm going to leave it almost as a trap for people to pick up
Mhm.
and lose their vote. And then I'll be hiding and
I think you
watching and
dropped
knowing.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, is that your envelope?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
you could set up the whole thing, right? Like put it out in the open, pretend to quote unquote go look for an idol with somebody and lead them to it. Lead that horse to
Mhm.
water and make them drink.
Okay.
What's the one thing you told yourself you wouldn't do in this game?
Ooh, I'm not gonna tell anyone that I quit my job to play Survivor because I don't want anyone to know how like impulsive and decisive I can be. I also don't want to tell anyone if I find when I find something. I feel like that's a mistake over and over again. People get excited, and that's where the instincts come in, and we're all people, and people want to like showboat. Oh, I got the idol. I'm like cool with playing it down and just keeping it for me.
Okay. Jaws. Interesting. She corrected herself, Mike.
Yeah.
She said, she doesn't say if I find something. She said when I find something.
She's manifesting it. You know, she's speaking power to it. That's the
Mhm.
secret, which ironically enough, she wants to keep when it comes to the idol.
Got to. You got to. Okay. All right. A little bit more with Maddie.
What's the best advice you received before coming out to play?
Someone told me that never make a decision just to make a big move. And I thought that was really great advice. Like everything you do should be for a reason, and you have to be able to back up your moves. And I think that's true. It speaks to the gameplay. Nobody wants to see someone in the end talking to the jury saying, oh, I did this because I needed it for my resume. That era is over. Everything needs to make sense from this point forward. So I'd say that.
Jaws.
Can you?
Yeah, so I think it's a very valid point. And you've talked about this with Sophie even before the new era came about, right? About how the resume is actually, I think, fairly overrated as a concept, and it's more about story. And I think we have certainly seen that from our 3 Survivor winners in the new era about what they were able to tout. And yes, they were able to answer the jury's questions and certainly, you know, put moves on their name. But at the same time, I think one of the large reasons they won is because of the narrative they were able to spin over any sort of gameplay they had done throughout the 26 days.
Okay. All right. Last couple with Maddie.
Can you come up with your own weird phrase that could be said at a challenge to unlock an idol?
I have been like dying to. I don't know where this came from. I really, if I get caught like looking for an idol in the woods, I'm like dying to just tell someone like I wasn't looking for an idol, like I was making out with a tree. I don't know where that came from. I thought it would be funny, and I think that sounds like something that they would put on one of those papers. So maybe that. I think I'm gonna regret saying that, but whatever.
Okay, Jaws.
Let's talk this through. Yeah, you rang that girl power bell.
I was making out with a tree. I wasn't looking for an idol. I was making out with a tree.
So if you were out there in the Amazon and you see Butch all by his lonesome in the grove, and he says, Rob, I wasn't looking for an idol. I was making out with a tree. What's the first reaction there? He loves firewood.
Yeah, Butch, did you get wood?
Was that him? Was that him? Like, was that his children? Then that's the product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So
It's I mean, that is, God, that is wild. Is that the way she's gonna play the beware advantage? it's not, I'm going to leave a trap for somebody. I'm just going to create the ultimate distraction by saying I'm a literal tree hugger.
A dendrophile?
That is good. Golly gosh. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how I would react. If I was out doing my thing, coming back from a bathroom break, and I see Maddie squirreling around in the brush, I ask her what she's doing. She said, I just got to first base with that ficus over there. And you won't
Mm-hmm.
believe it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right. What about her celebrity visit?
The giving
What
tree.
celebrity or fictional character would you want to come out for a loved one's visit?
I've been calling myself the Madonna of Survivor. So if Madonna like came out the Fijian jungle and was like there to hug me, that'd be pretty epic.
Okay.
For what it's worth, Maddie looks significantly younger than that picture of Madonna from the Grammys.
Yeah. Okay. Mike. There you go. There's Maddie. Wait, where do you see Maddie fitting into all this?
It's so interesting. Maddie has so much of like, I don't know, a dichotomy going on. She like almost conflicts with herself at so many points during this interview, right? She says, I'm impulsive, I'm short-sighted, but also the best advice I received was to not make a move just to make a big move. I don't like long-term gameplay. Also, I love how Sari just sits back and waits and then decides to strike at an opportune moment. Like, it leaves me very conflicted personally as to what attitude she will adopt once she hits the sands of Fiji. One thing I know she'll be doing, besides, immediately kissing the first tree she sees, is I know she's going to Lauren and Jamie and making an alliance there. I think that is going to work out well for her. But I do think we're going to be dealing, for entertainment's sake, I'm so happy about this. I think we're getting Messy Maddie this
Messy
season.
Maddie for sure. 3 words to describe her. She says brave, friendly, and feral. Friendly and feral, I feel like don't go hand in hand.
Are we sure that Maddie isn't just some sort of animal that was turned into a human and she's trying to figure out how to play the game of Survivor? She describes herself as feral. She's talking about making out with trees. Are we sure a dog didn't make a wish on a genie in a bottle and just became a person?
Interesting. Did it turn out that Lauren found that genie?
Yeah, and said, oh, I wish my dog played Survivor. I mean, talk about a ride or die.
Okay. Dogs do play dead, so shouldn't ride a dog. Don't do that. All right. Very excited to see Maddie play. We got one more person here in this tribe, which has low-key turned into some pretty wild personalities here.
Yeah, I think, coming in, we said, okay, Ratu is probably going to be the most mellow tribe, but there is a lot going on in here. I just want to go back to Maddie for a second. Just like some of her claims to fame are pretty interesting. She placed 3rd in an ultra marathon when she was 22, which was only, a little while back, but still at that young age. She's trekked to Everest Base Camp, but her proudest accomplishment is making the hottest guy from NYU date her for the last 7 years.
Okay.
But the joke's on us. It was an oak tree.
All right. Let's talk about our last person, 18 of 18 in the order, but not in our hearts. Here he is. It's Matthew.
I think it's only fitting that the final cast member we talked about on these podcasts, Rob, is the first one we see in the Survivor 44 trailer. This is Matthew Prinstead Maley. Yes, exactly.
Which is Distribute Survivor.
Yes, he's coming out roaring like a lion, it seems. He's certainly got the mane for it. It's pulled back here, but good gosh, his hair is something to die for. Understandably so. His work shows he is a barbershop owner, 42 years old, from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to set up before we hear from Matthew?
Yeah, so Matthew is one of the older members of the cast. And
later days, yes.
And he is also a father. He is a married father, which is interesting. He's on the
He
same
is father?
Well, I don't know. I actually haven't checked in as to who the daddy of the cast is. And I feel like daddy is also very different from mother.
Yes. Okay.
I guess actually, I think the next thing you're doing is a look. So we'll see what Bryce thinks. Who is the authentic zaddy of the cast? Who's making the calendar for 2024?
Yes. If any of our listeners want to let me know who is father, let me know.
With no context, just at them and say, at Rob Cesternino, he is father.
Yes. Okay.
Or Matthew, if you want to respond with a GIF of Kane's favorite person, Luke Skywalker, saying, "I am father," that would work as well.
All right. Here we go. Here is Matthew.
Why are you here on Survivor?
I am here on Survivor to see if I've really got all the goods to make it to the end. I love to challenge myself, and I am a little water baby, nature kid. So I feel like I have all of these skills that really will help me survive in the game of Survivor.
What's your history with watching Survivor?
I am a day one fan, and I'm sorry if that ages me, but I have been a super fan since day one, and I have been actively trying to get on the show for the past 4 years.
Give me one Survivor winner and one non-winner who you identify with the most.
The Survivor winner that I identify the most with is Ben. I felt like he went through the season and created great bonds, but you saw personal struggles and you saw him overcome them and acknowledge them and extend an arm to others that might be feeling the same way as him. And I felt like that really was encouraging. And although my situation and my life is not the same as his, I can definitely empathize and hope that someone can see some of my own successes in my journey and help them along the way. As for a non-winner, Elaine is the one that really stands out for me. She was hilarious and genuine. She really had a sense of just going out in the game and having a great time. And I feel like that speaks to me that if I go out there and I just try to have fun every day and enjoy every moment, then I'll get the most out of this experience.
Jaws.
Okay.
It'll cause him to climb that slippery rock, as we saw in the trailer.
Yeah. Also, that he mentions Ben. Both him and Ben have good beards.
Yes, that's very true as well. And he also does mention Shan in his bio too. So this is like the third person in a row who has mentioned Shan. I don't know if that means that Shan will bring them all together, but interesting.
Yeah. I feel like that Shan didn't come up a ton with the other tribes.
No, I don't think so. I think she was more so mentioned with Ricard. I feel like we got a number of times in the other interviews like, oh, in an alliance member, I want a Shannon Ricard type of situation where we work really well together, and then it'll come at a certain point where we betray each other to the detriment of each other's games.
What's your favorite moment in Survivor history?
I love the big splashy moments. I love the moments that make your jaw drop. So for me, when Malcolm won an individual immunity and used his 2-hit immunity idols to play for his alliance, leaving the other alliance to feast upon themselves and just bicker and go at it, was a moment that made my jaw drop to the floor, and I literally had to pick it up. So that is a moment that sticks out for me, and I hope to create something just like that.
Jaws. Matthew may regret wanting to create a big splashy moment on the show.
Well, he is a water baby, though, so I think it just comes naturally. And he does say in his video that he likes to play very fluidly, so he might just have liquid on the brain.
Yeah,
It's
just worried about
though.
him falling off that rock.
I suppose so. It is interesting, though. He and Kane both have the same favorite moment, and Matthew said his jaw dropped to the floor, perhaps a moose jaw.
Oh, I think this was a shout out from last season.
I mean, that could be possible as well.
Okay. All right.
What's one life experience you feel has prepared you most for the game?
Growing up, my mom worked for the YMCA, so I was literally outdoors every day at summer camp, running, playing in the fields, playing in the trees, climbing trees, swimming, you name it, making fires. I was doing it as a kid. So that is something that I grew up doing and really having a lot of joy in. And I feel like those skills and just the ability to have fun in that realm will help me very well in Survivor.
What excites you the most about the new era of Survivor?
The new era of Survivor is fast and it's dangerous and there's no place to hide. And I think that speaks to me because I love the excitement in life. And I'm not one to just idly sit by. I don't actually sit much. I enjoy living my life on my feet and experience the world through my eyes and my hands. So this is just perfect for me to be on this new era of Survivor.
What do you think people will perceive you as?
I think that people will perceive me as someone who likes to have a good time, who is genuine and cares about others around him. I come from almost 30 years in the service industry, so it's very natural for me to take care of people. And as a father, I want to take care of my son. So I think that my tribe mates and the audience will see me in my zone when I'm helping other people around me succeed.
Jaws. I mean, I'll keep beating this drum that I think customer service skills might be some of the most important stuff to bring into Survivor, considering that it's a lot about giving people what they need to hear. And so Matthew does have the skills to hopefully pay those bills. 3 decades worth, and him working in that barber shop as well. As Jam Jam talked about, you're certainly dealing with like a lot of different types of people coming your way every day. But I'm a little nervous when he's like, hey, I'm doing my best when I'm helping other people. Survivor is cooperative to an extent. I do worry this could be a guy who ends up either falling on his sword or like building a bit of a blind spot with how much he is eternally trusting in somebody.
Mike, have we had barbers on the show before?
I don't believe so. I don't think. Actually, I think we may have had some hairstylists on the show before. I want to say like Kelly Remington. Oh no, Lindsay Delashewich from Survivor Worlds Apart. I do believe she was a hairstylist.
Yes. Okay.
But I don't believe if you're going specifically with like a barber, go to the red, white, and blue pole and all that stuff. I don't.
Hard to find a good barber.
When you do though, man, there's no denying a good barber.
So, yeah, can't find one here.
Do you think he's gonna be like the main hair braider on the tribe? Because that's a good position. Like that's a good social bonding moment. We oftentimes see Sarah Lacina, I think, was really good at doing that and making bonds with people. That could be Matthew's into a lot of others.
I guess so. If you're a barber, do you automatically know how to braid hair?
I mean, your hair is your life, so I imagine you gotta
I guess
know
so.
how to
I just
work
feel
with
like
it in
it's.
every way.
I feel like that's not as a barber. I feel like that's not a hairstyle that you do a lot. But I don't know. I don't work there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta know at least how to do it in some point. But I agree. I don't think anyone's coming in there like, hey, just French braid it. That'll be all for today. You get people at home to do that for you.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a barber. I don't have a daughter. I don't know.
Exactly. We'll see.
This is a hole in my knowledge base, Mike.
Well, Matthew's going to talk about actually filling some holes coming up in this next question.
Oh my God.
What type of player are you looking for in an alliance?
I'm looking for an alliance member that has strengths that offset my weaknesses, so that when we go into a situation or a challenge, I know that that person has my back. And not only do they have my back, but they have something that I necessarily am not strong at, or they might be stronger. So together, we're stronger together because all of our sums, all of our parts are working in better conjunction.
What's the one thing you told yourself you wouldn't do in this game?
I'm studying massage therapy currently, and the one thing I promised myself I wouldn't do is use the healing power of touch to manipulate people. That would cross an ethical line for me, and I want people to be able to respect what I do and not see that as me using that as a power situation where I'm using that to coerce people. I do want to play the game, and I do want to be mischievous and use trickery, but not in a sense that would spill over into my personal life and things that I set out to do in my professional life.
Okay.
Jaws.
Yeah.
But before we get to that can of worms, I do have to go back to the hairstylist thing because there are so many that I didn't even think about. First, it's not Lindsay Delashewich because she played in 42. Lindsay Cascadin.
That's what I was going to say.
I definitely failed at Twitch in that regard. But looking back, Yasmin in Survivor Samoa, Aaron Lobdell in Survivor Token Sheets,
Sure.
and Kobe from Survivor Palau, all hairstylists.
Okay. But Matthew is the first barber.
I do believe so, yes.
Okay. So Survivor first.
Yeah, very much so.
Note
So
the day and
now,
time. Okay.
Let's get, though, from that occupation to, I guess, one that Matthew is also pursuing at the same time, using his hands for a different reason, but only for good, not for evil.
Yeah. I don't even know if they let you give other survivors a massage anymore.
Yeah, I think we are sort of past the
yeah,
blood
so
versus
no
water
need to
days.
worry about that. Okay.
Yeah, but now I'm just going back to like what Otis was doing in Survivor Exile Island with them like holding their hands over each other to try to give themselves good juju to start the fire. Is that what he's talking about? I
I don't
wouldn't
think so.
I wouldn't use the healing power of touch to manipulate people. Like on the one hand, to the point you just said, duh, that's a given from a very certain read. From another read, I am incredibly mystified by this.
Which part?
Just the idea of the healing power of touch to manipulate people. Like, is it, well, listen, you better vote with me or I'm not going to give you
No,
that
I just
massage.
feel like that if he is as good as advertised, you know, and he's like, oh my god, like that you really like I have like these positive feelings towards you because you were able to heal me. You were able to make me feel so much better. I'm gonna I'm you know gonna work with you in the same way. Like maybe if somebody was like a good cook or like was it like a good storyteller or any of the other reasons why you would feel positively about a person.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That I mean, he did say he's this nature kid, that it seems like he is going to be a provider. He finds himself, for lack of a better term, quite natural in that environment, but maybe he has an entirely different utility as well as the local masseuse.
Okay. And that's really if you go to a barber and then they also like get like a like shoulder massage in there also. Like I mean, like where
Yeah.
does Matthew live? Ohio? Should I move?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I'm heading to Columbus sometime soon for my combination haircut
Live
massage.
show, Columbus, Ohio. Okay. All right.
What's the best advice you received before coming out to play?
The best advice I received before I came out to play was from my sister. And she told me, no matter what the hard times are, just remember that they're temporary. If the rain's pouring down on you and you're freezing and you're cold and you're shivering and you think there's no end in sight, remember that it's temporary. Everything that I'm going through is temporary. And so I should not focus on the moment, but focus on what's next.
Can you come up with your own weird phrase that could be said at a challenge to unlock an idol?
A word that comes to mind in my family is shenanigans. So I think that I would probably have to say something along the lines of, these shenanigans are really getting in the way of me finding my way to my goal.
What celebrity or fictional character would you want to come out for a loved one's visit?
I would probably have to say Paul Rudd, just because I get compared to him a lot, and I think that he's hilarious and a very genuine, down-to-earth person. So I think that having Paul Rudd come and visit me on the island would mean a lot of fun, a lot of great interactions, and just feeling as though I've met a truly awesome, genuine person in a realm where you can trust no one.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Well, look at this. It came out right now. Fantastic advertising for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is coming out in a week's time.
Yeah, I mean that would be a great way for Paul Rudd to come in on and promote the movie.
I mean, he'd also walk on and just say, "Look at us. Who would have thought?"
Look at us. Okay. All right. There's Matthew. Anything else you want to highlight from Matthew?
Yeah, Matthew talked about this a bit in the interview, but he highlights in his 1-minute video that he does feel like, as a father, true to what he said about almost being selfless to a fault, that he is used to kind of like reorienting his focus around something or someone in this case. So he is happy to sort of go with the flow and be adaptable in that way. I mean, look, in my opinion, when it comes to Matthew, I think he's going to be far from the superhero that he loves. I think he's going to loom large in this game. In my opinion, if I'm picking one person from Ratu to go the farthest in this game and possibly win, it may be MGM here.
Yeah, he could be very solid. This is an interesting tribe.
Yeah,
I really don't know how it's going to shake out. Does he fit into the four corners, Mike?
I think he definitely does. Because something I really like about Matthew is he says, okay, I want to work with somebody that fills in all my weaknesses. I don't really see a lot of weaknesses for him. I guess his weakness is his charitability. My greatest fault
Does
is
he have
that
a killer instinct?
yeah, maybe that's it, is that he wants to join up with somebody that can say, we need to cut this person, you know, to shake some sense into him. That's the only weakness I can imagine, because from a Cam perspective, he's going to be the one that's out there totally, you know, in loving life out there in nature. From a physical perspective, it doesn't really show here. But if you look at his Instagram, dude is swole. He is jacked. He really put himself on a fitness regimen for this. And so I do think, you know, maybe even more so than Brandon, he is going to be one of the big physical assets of this tribe. And from a social perspective, like his line of work is constantly chatting up and getting to know complete strangers every day. I think he is someone who's really going to ingratiate himself well with the tribe. And so as a result, perhaps he could be the, I don't know, either the sneaky person or the ride or die in Jamie's alliance. And I certainly think he's going to be the number one of Lauren. I think they're both parents. They both have this niceness to them, this general sweetness. I think they're really going to bond almost immediately.
And maybe if she's the one that has like that really killer instinct of like wanting to make some bold moves, they could sort of get each other a little bit more like in homeostasis.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that right?
Yeah, a little bit of like a symbiotic relationship, right? They're kind of balancing each other out where Matthew is going to be able to keep her safe with just his, fantastic social play, and she'll be the hyper aggressive one to be like, no,
Equilibrium.
this is what we're going to do. Again, it's a bit of another type of Shannon Ricard in a way, right? In terms of the optics of it all, as well as the way that they're looking to play the game and the way they balance each other out.
Yeah, but Shannon Ricard were two players that both wanted to, play hard and fast.
Yeah, maybe Matthew will learn, much like another Matthew did from a previous Survivor season. He will learn by the end to make the most cutthroat moves and get rid of Lauren.
Yeah, he should hope so. Okay. All right. He had some interesting pet peeves, I thought, Mike.
Yes, so it's a pretty long list and an odd list. People that talk in circles. So unfortunately that, excludes him from what Netflix reality show. People who don't give others time. Yeah, people who don't give others time to talk in a conversation. The color combo of purple and white, I think this is such a flex because they read this and said, he can't be on the purple tribe. We don't want to do that to him. We want a happy Matthew. We also have misformed popsicles. Are we talking like factory deformed popsicles or just like asymmetrical ones in design?
I don't know. Gotta ask him.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know. How much experience does he have in popsicles to get that much of an opinion about it?
Yeah. Okay.
Also, odd numbers.
Yeah, good thing he's on season 44.
They had to, right? Like they probably had him in line for 43, and they said we gotta keep him happy. No purple tribes, no odd numbers. This man is slowly becoming maybe the most high maintenance person of the whole season.
Yep.
We also have pineapple on pizza. So if Matthew makes the jury, we know what Stu's not making.
Yes. Okay. My wife will be very happy to hear no pineapple on pizza.
And finally, malt chocolate candy. This is something he doesn't like.
It does stink. What's that? Like a malt ball, Whopper?
Malted milk balls.
Milk duds. Forget it. They stink.
But if someone asks him for some, you better believe he's going to buy it all for them as he sits down to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania on opening night.
Yeah. All right. Mike, this is actually a very intriguing tribe. Could be a little messy.
All right, well, let's go back to Jamie's plan here, because I feel like we've come up with like a couple of candidates for each of the categories. If her plan of the Four Corners Alliance is successful, who do we think is most likely to fit into these boxes? Because I would imagine that would at least be the controlling majority in the early stages of the game.
Okay. The ride or die. You think it's Maddie?
I think it might be Maddie. I know that she said he, and there's a chance it could be Matthew, but I do feel like Maddie is.
If you switch it and you make Matthew the ride or die and make Maddie the sneaky.
Yeah, Maddie the mole. I kind of like that. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brandon the challenge beast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could. Lauren and Kane kind of get left out.
But if Matthew's able to make a bond with Lauren and vouch for her, unfortunately, that leaves Kane on the outside as Sasquatch is at a campsite.
I think he could be in trouble.
Yes, but again, we'll see. People might look at Jamie and be like, "What the hell is she doing, matchmaking us up here? I don't even talk with these people. I want to work with Lauren." I could see maybe Matthew's like, "No, I want to work with Lauren instead. Lauren, I want to protect you. This is what Jamie's doing," and they say, "Oh hell no, we got to get rid of Jamie now. She's plotting too quickly."
Okay, Mike. We did it. 18 players. Survivor 44. We're ready. When's the premiere? Tomorrow.
Oh, no. We got to wait a little bit of time for that. Let us sleep, Rob. We have done enough hard work.
All right.
This is awesome. Thank you again to CBS for giving me the ability to ask these questions. Thank you to the contestants for being so open. Sometimes in Maddie's case, sexually so, apparently,
Okay.
with their lives and their gameplay that they hope to bring to Survivor. I'm so excited to see how much they'll play into this, how much they might not. My favorite thing about the preseason, Rob, is that it is all possibility and no reality. We
You
can
got
speculate.
18 winners.
Yeah,
No
we can
first boots.
speculate
Everybody
up
made the
and down the
merch.
wall about it. I mean, again, look back to last season, right? When we're saying, okay, Jesse could do well, Carla could do well, Owen could do well. This guy, Mike Gabler, he'll
No,
be
no
fun.
chance.
He'll be
Cody,
fun for
no
a little while.
chance. Yeah.
Yeah, and look at, what the final six was made up of. I do feel like 44 is a lot like 42 in many ways. One of them being, this does feel like more of a wide open pool than 43 was. Though, again, 43 did have one of those more unconventional winners. 42 from the outset really did feel like it could be anybody's game. And even those that are drawing some red flags, they're not deep crimson to me. They're just like a shade of pink. I do think, given
Not
the
purple
right
and
set of
white.
circumstances, yeah, exactly. The right challenge win set, I could see maybe any of these 18 people become the sole survivor this season.
Okay. Mike, anything else you want to say here about Ratu?
I don't believe so, but I would imagine this is the tribe that I will say I think we'll see them the most in the pre-merge. I don't know if they'll come in too strong into the merge. They won't come in too strong because they'll probably be weakened. But
Ratu strong? Yeah.
yeah, TWO strong. Definitely not the case, but I could imagine them going to tribal council the most out of the three tribes, and that should make things interesting considering what we just said about the dynamics probably being a little messy in the beginning.
Okay. Mike, great job. Thank you so much for all your hard work putting this all together for us to listen to here in the preseason. What else do you have coming up these days?
Well, I will advertise, of course, if you want the written version of these, because of course we want multiple mediums for people to take in their Survivor content. These are all up right now. Parade.com. You can see all my Survivor 44 interviews for the preseason. Also, coming up closer to the end of the month, I will have an interview with Jeff Probst where we hope to get a bit more insight as to what season 44 is going to offer from the production perspective. We certainly have assumptions as to what's going to stay, but we don't know what's going to linger from 43. What new stuff is going to come into play in 44? Hopefully, Jeff will have some answers there. The other thing I'll pimp out here, Rob, is if at all, you got the written part of this, you got the audio part of this, but if you're a visual learner, we have coming up at some point in the next little while, we're going to have video versions of these interviews. You don't have to stare at me and Rob's beautiful faces anymore. You get to see it straight from the real McCoys themselves. You'll have video footage from the interviews proper. We'll cut out all sort of like the riff-raff chit-chat that Rob and I are doing. If you just want to see a video version of these people, get a sense as to how they look on camera.
When you're getting ready to do your drafts, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's yet another way you can check out these interviews. Other than that, Liana and I are going to be shoring up to do a B&B at some point in the next couple of weeks to certainly break down our own versions of this cast through our superlatives, play a game, certainly around Casuals Corner. I think talk a bit more about these websites that have popped up certainly in the past couple of weeks. I know, Rob, you and me and Jessica Lees are talking Tough as Nails, which is the current CBS reality fair that is near its end game, which has been very exciting so far. And over on the post-show recaps side of things, we are beginning our coverage of Star Trek Picard, which is coming back for its last season next Thursday, February 16th. Myself, Jessica Lees are covering it, also covering The Last of Us. And speaking of Survivor crossover, this weekend, due to the early episode 5 dropping on Friday, I'll be getting together with Survivor 43 runner-up Owen Knight is joining me to give his sort of mid-season takes on everything. Should be very excited. Ellie and Joel oftentimes find themselves in a Charlie Brown-like position where something goes right and then something goes immediately wrong. So I'm sure he sees a lot of himself in that situation. But excited to talk with Owen about something outside of Survivor, as he's a big fan of The Last of Us. Down the hatch with Josh.
He knows a thing or two about Ellie's.
Yes, exactly. And then as we get to the tail end of the month, I will say that a show that featured once upon a time Kane's favorite fictional character, Luke Skywalker, in a very uncanny valley form, is returning in The Mandalorian, actually premiering the same day as Survivor 44. And I will be covering it all. Wednesdays are going to become a very, very fun day in the Bloom household. So stay tuned to all that. at a Make Bloom Type on Twitter, on Instagram. Thank you all so much for checking out my coverage I'd say all preseason long. It's only been a week and a half, but it has been so much fun getting to do this.
The MVP of the preseason, once again.
Thank you. I'm very much looking forward to, the responses from this. Do you think Maddie's middle initial begins with a V? She could be the MVP.
Oh, I don't know. Not a lot of names with a V.
Victoria, Veronica.
It's possible.
Yeah, we'll have to ask her after the fact. But yeah, thank you to everyone who's been checking all of them out. I really have loved the feedback so far. I'm assuming that's going to grow as now people are starting to catch up with everything. But now all we have to do is just wait for the damn show to start and see what exactly this wacky, weird cast is going to do for us in Survivor 44.
All right. Well, Mike, thank you again. Thanks, everybody, for listening. It's been a super busy week here. We did the Ultimate Survivor Trivia Contest with Marianne, Omer, and Zach Wertenberger on Wednesday night, the Twish Ultimate Challenge. That was a lot of fun. In addition to Mike mentioned Tough as Nails, I talked about Special Forces, World's Toughest Test with Jenny Autumn. Did we mention it's Groundhog Week? I am watching the movie Groundhog and podcasting about it all week long to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Bill Murray film, Groundhog Day. Today was day 4 of Groundhog Week. You can check that all out in our podcast feed. Go to robhasawebsite.com/subscribe. Thank you all so much for joining us. If this is the type of nonsense that you enjoy, consider becoming a patron of Rob as a Podcast. robhasawebsite.com/patron. The greatest reality TV community in the world, in my humble opinion. Got so much going on in our patron community. Plus, great perks that will, in addition to what we have for you in our patron podcast feed. Now, we will be doing some special exclusive content about Survivor 44, early access to our events that we are planning for Survivor 44 and much more. It's all at robhasawebsite.com/patron. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.